You are about to witness history in the making.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Pop Culture Gamers podcast. My name's Hayden. It's show number 143. We're on the 3rd of July, and I'm here, as always, with Steve. Hi, Steve. How's it going?
Yes, okay. Again, it seems like forever when we do these podcasts. It seems you don't remember the last one to the next one when we have a bit of a gap, so...
Yeah, well, I mean, we were going to do it last week, but you were on call, and
yeah, dementia was setting in as well. Really, it's like
yeah, I think it just seems to be one of those things of it's been really quite busy because we haven't actually had a formal podcast other than the normal type of one for a month because the one that we did do, which was 3 weeks ago, was the Xbox and Bethesda reveal.
That's correct. It certainly was.
Yeah. So that
was like 2 weeks ago now, wasn't it?
3 weeks.
Was it 3 weeks?
We were supposed to do a show last weekend, but we never got around to it. Because I can't remember, but there was something that was stopping me and you were on call. So just one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember why it was.
No, I know.
I can't remember.
It wasn't me being on call as such. I think I was busy doing something. I think something going on, and you were busy as well. It's called life, really, isn't it? It gets in the way sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had quite a busy few weeks because obviously we went to see Sir Elton John.
You did,
and that was absolutely fantastic. I was a little bit disappointed really that it was in the football stadium because they didn't, I don't know if it has a dome that can go on or whatever, but it was obviously bright daylight, so you couldn't really see the screens, whereas the Pet Shop Boys one was inside.
Yeah, but normally they have a couple of big video screens left and right of what's going on, so you can sort of see them plugging away.
You couldn't see them because of the sun was still so far up in the sky, and it was so strong on the screens. And apart from where it was casting shadow, you couldn't really make it out. And then by the time it got to a point where you could really make it out, the show had ended. And it was absolutely fantastic, apart from the fact that we had a couple of drunk blokes in front of us in the 60s, one of which was like really drunk. And you know when you have those sort of drunks that in order to stop themselves from falling over, they have to keep walking. It was one of those. And he kept standing up, wandering around, falling over all of the furniture and, pushing the chairs back and nearly falling onto our legs. There was another bloke who stood on there and then fell over. And it was just, and the security guards did pretty much nothing.
I was going to say, what were the stewards doing? That's their job, isn't it?
Oh, they kept saying, behave yourself. That's what they did. But anyway, for about half of the show, we had this, and it was ruining it for us. Anyway, whatever reason, they left halfway through. They weren't told to get out. I think that they got out before they went out before they got kicked out, because it had the people over and talking to them. And when you can tell when they're getting the heavy guys in, because this bloke, he must have been about 7 foot and built like a brick shit.
Were they on the yellow brick road? Were they?
Well, I think in the morning they'd have thought that. I guess that's why they call it the Blues.
And they're Crocodile Rock in the morning. They're probably their heads must have been thumping.
Oh, I can tell you they're up for a rocket, man.
I bet they were. But never mind, it was just a candle in the wind. Hey, whatever.
Yeah. Don't let the sun go down on me, please.
That's what she said.
But it was just really made it really unpleasant to be
That's a
there.
shame. I mean, this is supposedly his last performance he's doing on this tour.
Yeah, well, it's the last in the north of the country supposed to be doing full stop.
Was he in a wheelchair when he came on, or did he stand up?
Oh no, he was walking about. Yeah,
I didn't know what
it was the strings on his arms and his legs, so he came in like looking like a
Thunderbird.
a Thunderbird. No, not really. He was all right. He was fine, and I have to say he was the best I've heard him singing live. Not that I've never heard him sing live personally, but I've heard recordings of him sing live.
Yeah, on the TV as well and stuff like that. He's done stuff for. I don't think he did anything for the Jubilee. Funny enough, did he?
No, I don't think. I don't remember him doing anything. But
no.
Interestingly enough, when I've seen him for the last few years, he's been more shouting the songs rather than singing them. And when we were there, he was definitely. It was like, he was like really good. You could hear his voice. You could hear him sing. And that was the main thing. And it was absolutely fantastic. And we went overboard on the memorabilia as well.
Now, go on. How much were the t-shirts?
£35 each.
Oh, that's probably about right.
And the hoodies were £70 each.
So what did you buy?
Program, 2 t-shirts, 2 hoodies, and a hat.
Did they have any signed programs or not for this?
No.
Sure.
No. I mean, it was 40,000 capacity, or sorry, £50,000 people capacity stadium. So it had been signing them for quite a while.
No, what I mean by that is, especially when I went, it's his birthday this week. So Jeff Wayne, when I went to see War of the Worlds, they have a limited amount that's signed on the programs, which are a little bit more expensive, but I think that's worth it because I got one year.
To be honest, just trying to get into to go to the queues for the merchandise was like queuing, to go on a roller coaster at Disney. It took ages.
You were in a football stadium. It was like going to a football match. Probably going to get your pie at half time.
Yeah, it was basically. It was absolute, and we were on the pitch as well. So, because we were sort of like second group of. I
saw one of the photos you did. I was trying to work out where you were sitting or where you were, so I couldn't really make out with the picture that was on Facebook.
Yeah, as you look at the stage, we were sort of like midway down the pitch to the right.
Did you have an early start getting in there? Because I know what his stadium concerts are like. You're up at crack of dawn.
Yeah, we took the thing of the learning from the Pet Shop Boys one, where we turned up at the time that they said, and then we were stood around for ages. So we went quite late.
Right.
I think that we set off about, because obviously we had to travel for an hour to get there. I think we set off about an hour before we were supposed to be there, knowing that it was going to take us probably about an hour and a half. And then, by the time we'd gone to the merch store and all of this, that and the other, we got on probably about 5 minutes before he started.
Was the support there or not?
No.
I mean, that's why when I took the missus we went to Wembley Stadium, if you take that, and that was a long day. We got there early in the morning and we were sitting in the queues with everybody else right through the day in the sun.
Yeah.
And then the time we saw him at Southampton Football Stadium, we was there about 11 o'clock lunchtime, but they went on till 8 o'clock in the evening, and the queues just horrendous. And you just go with the flow, to be honest. There's food out there and stuff, and you could just sit around, but then make sure you find the gate that you need to go in on the stadium. And they can, as long as they're organised, okay, they're pretty well done. If it gets a bit messy sometimes, where some people are trying to go through the wrong gate turnstiles, depending on where you're supposed to, because all we were doing was having standing tickets. So we'd make sure we get there early enough to get in the queue, so we could then just go straight for the front of the stage and get the best view we could, which we've done many times.
Yeah.
And if you had seats, and that would be slightly different, then you can turn it when you want. But at least you got there. Yeah,
it was really good. Really enjoyed it. Just unfortunate we had to go to work the next day, but it was all right. It was good. And then the other big change for me as well is I've got a new dog.
I wondered. I thought that's that the same dog. I was sort of trying to work in my brain. I'm thinking that's it. This is not old footage I'm seeing here or something.
No, this is a new puppy.
Identical, aren't they? We're not far
Well,
off.
no, because Kylo's grey
Mm,
because he's a blue male Sheltie,
mm,
and Loki, who is our new dog,
mm.
is black, so he's a tri-Sheltie.
You see, I get maybe the idea of Loki. I know someone's called one of their puppies Loki and that. But if you've got Kylo Ren, you need something like Ray as the other.
Well,
You know?
I mean, I wanted to call him Neo originally.
Yeah.
And Loki was like option number 2 because Loki had been my original option for Kylo.
Mm.
Anyway, Neo wasn't popular with Jane because she thought it was too much like Kylo and it'd get them confused. So Kylo Loki, do you know what I mean?
But Ray would have been completely separate. Do you know, that
yeah, but Ray's a female and he's male.
Could be Raymond, but Ray for short.
Sure. So anyway, we decided on Loki, Dog of Mischief, as opposed to God of Mischief.
Yeah.
And tell you what, it really is exactly a perfect name for him because he is mischievous. He's just so funny. I mean, he's now 9 weeks old.
Right.
About 3 or 4 days ago, it was the first time he ever saw the stairs because we kept the door shut so he didn't see it. And I went upstairs. I came back downstairs to find him 3 stairs up. Now, as soon as you open up that door, the little bugger is straight up the bloody stairs. And I'm not kidding you, he's not even the height of a stair. He's tiny.
Well, I wouldn't say tiny, because Yoda was like this big as a puppy. He was literally this tiny, but...
Yeah, but, Kylo is probably now about that big. You know, he's probably half of... So Loki's about half of Kylo's size. So he's like really... He is quite small. He's definitely bigger than Yoda, though. But your Yoda is so tiny anyway.
He is. He's sort of this sort of size, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With his tail, you know, so...
Yeah.
But he is a Chihuahua cross Yorkie, so yeah, it will be.
Yeah, he's never going to be like a massive dog. I mean, Loki's not going to be a massive dog either, but
no.
He's certainly full of it. So anyway, now my wife and I have a dog each because Kylo was supposed to be my dog and he prefers Jane, so I thought fair enough. And that's because she feeds him all the time. So anyway, Loki's my dog and he definitely... you'll have to do
the training. You're gonna, I suppose, because it could easily just go to the dark side and follow Jane and say like this to you. Because
no, but I'll bribe him with food. So yeah, he's great. Absolutely, and it's also quite nice because it's brought Kylo out of himself a little bit. Kylo's sort of like got a bit more puppyish again, and seeing him play because they're both Shelties and know how to play with each other, as it were. You know, running around and they're like whatever game it is that they play. You know, in terms of their dog fight, you know, pretend fighting and stuff like that. They both understand or seem to understand it, so that's really good. Whereas I've seen different breeds mixed up where they don't play well with each other because they don't understand each other. But yeah, so that's that. I finally, on Friday afternoon, which was too late for me to do anything about it, got my NDO form. So it now means I can actually start generating money from my solar panels.
Oh, okay.
Which will be nice. And then the big one for me for this month is, if anybody's missed it on social media or whatever, is this July I'm supporting the Children's Society Gaming Challenge 24 hours in July, basically to help young people at risk of self-harm, abuse, exploitation or neglect. So if you want to see what that's all about, come along to my YouTube channel, or the show's YouTube channel, youtube.com/popculturegamers, to support the challenge. And if you can, please, help to fund towards my goal. your gift basically is used to then help provide specialist support that empowers young people to make a positive change and rediscover their hope. So when you donate £1, £5 or £500, every little helps young people to secure a brighter future, with that support. So far I've raised £64. Yeah, and anybody who can contribute, please do. If you want to contribute, it's a great charity, and the links are in the podcast description today. They're on our Facebook group, they're on our Facebook page, and they're also on Twitter at popculturegamers.co.uk or at HERJUK.
There you go.
And that's it from me. And so far, I've done about 5.5 hours, something like that, out of the 24.
Right.
Which, considering it started on the 1st, is not too bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, Steve, what about yourself?
Well, not really. It's not a great deal. Why isn't that working? Not a lot, to be honest with me. Just been trying to keep up with cutting the grass with this weather we've been having. It's either been thundering storms or hot weather, and the grass never stopped growing. And my missus says to me, "Why didn't you get a robot for cutting the grass?" I thought, yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm seriously thinking about getting one. Seriously.
For what they are, I won't have it, but it would be nice.
How's your robot vacuum cleaner?
We did this morning's Hoover as normal.
Yeah.
I have to point them in the right direction a little bit, but that's just, I think, because of when things are going on in some rooms, I lift some stuff up out of the way and you can just get on with it. Mm. But I will just close the door or just get the remote out and just spin them in a different direction if I need to, But yeah, it was, again, totally full up from the last couple of days. And I sort of once every Sunday morning, just push it on once everything's out of the way, especially leads and cables, obviously, because they can get in the way.
Yes.
And Robbie goes off and does his thing, shall we say? Mm. What else? It's funny. My subscription with Waxworks Records before COVID is still ongoing because of the vinyl plant shutdowns. So I just had ships my Nostromo figure that would sit on top. You see my Halloween one with Michael Myers. I've got one of those coming, which is the vampire Nostromo. That's been in the post. And there's one more vinyl to come, which will be the Killer Clowns. That will be shipping in June. What else has come around recently? Oh yeah, I had my love for Italian westerns, especially the spaghetti westerns and stuff like that. I'd picked up, and it took a while I think it come from Italy again, this one, but was the Trinity movie soundtrack with Bud Spencer and Terence Hill from the early 60s. Well, actually, I think it was early 60s, yeah. That turned up, which is pretty good. 2 years in the making from COVID, finally my In Search of Tomorrow documentary landed at my doorstep, which was shipping from the States, which I'm really pleased to have, because I didn't want to watch the digital version. I wanted to wait until I had the hard copy. So I've started watching that. I've just got up to 1983 at the minute. It goes up to 1989 for the whole era of sci-fi, and it's everything they talk about is a joy to watch and listen to, and watch every film that you remember what made the 80s, what they were, is in the documentary with members of the cast doing their chat and directors as well. Really is a fine piece of footage there. I mean, about 5 hours long as well. So they've done a great job with the In Search of Darkness movies they did with the 2 so far. There's a 3rd one being made now, and they're going to be doing a Aliens enhanced documentary as well at some point, all about aliens. So that'll be on the Kickstarter at some point as well. That's about it really. Finish watching something which I'll talk about later before we start the show. I think the last one at the cinema was to see. Did I see the last one? I can't remember now. It was a few weeks ago. Oh, it was Top Gun, wasn't it? So that was probably the last time we did a podcast, wasn't it?
Yeah, I haven't seen Top Gun yet. I was going to go, but my son fell and twisted his ankle on the night that we were going to go. No. He was like, yeah, seriously. He was his mum had gone to pick him up, and she was literally sat in the car, and he was walking across some grass. He was a few feet away from the car, and he just keeled over. There was a hole in the ground that he didn't see. Twisted his ankle. He ended up being in blooming A&E for 5 hours.
No.
So, it was a severe strain. He's not to do PE and stuff like that for the rest of the term. And he was in an awful lot of pain with it.
Yeah.
I could not believe that at all. So hacked off. I was worried about him, and I was hacked off because it was the last night of the movie being on at the Ritz Cinema at Thirsk.
Right.
And it was sort of like, Urgh! So anyway, we never got to see it. So I'll probably see it online or something or other like that.
That is a bit of a shame, because it's very much worth watching on the big screen if you can catch it.
Yeah. I'll tell you something that did happen that was quite funny this last week. As you know, I rent out my other property. Yeah.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Now, we made a very quite clear, quite explicit thing to our agent who passed it on, which was, this is a new lawn. It has just been laid. You must water it. Yeah, fair enough. So I get a phone call, was it last week or the week before, from the estate agent. Your tenants have phoned up. The grass has split and it's curling up at the edges.
I mean, like a dry sandwich.
Yeah,
that's been left out of the party too long.
Yeah, when after a week of sunshine, it looks like the grass is dying, and it's like, what? Can you do something about it? And I said, yes, I can give them some advice of water the grass. I couldn't believe it. They hadn't bothered watering it for a week because they'd been on holiday. Yeah, they never contacted and say, look, I know it's a new lawn, it needs watering every day, but we're going away or anything like that. Just to let us know. And then they were phoning up and complaining about the fact that the grass was dying. It's like, it's your problem. I turned around to my estate agent and I said, can you just check with them that they've got a lawnmower? Because I have a funny feeling that they're going to be phoning me up next and saying the grass is long. What do I do about it?
No sympathy from you, Hayden, no.
No, because it's their responsibility, as you know, as a tenant, to look after the property. But I was just, it was just one of those things. It was like, really, I couldn't believe it. But such is life, isn't it? I mean, it begged belief to me. But surely, if your land, would you phone up your landlord or the landlord's letting agency and say, "Oh, there's a problem with the grass; it's dying," or would you just put some water on it?
Yeah, in your case, it's brand new. It's just turf that's been laid. It has to be watered.
Yeah. And that was told to them, and they knew that, because when I handed over,
was it in your? I mean, is it in the terms and agreement about the new lawn?
Yeah. Yeah.
Never mind, eh?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, never, ever let anywhere. It is not worth the hassle. I wish I'd never bothered.
No. I'm just going to do something here. Actually, can I do this? Because I forgot about this. So if I just spin around, so you can see here, yeah?
Yes, corner of your room.
Look down there. You see that?
I can see, you've got your Xbox fridge.
Yeah. It's a little bit bigger than the other. It makes the actual Xbox look really small.
I have to admit, I did think there that the actual Xbox was the fridge. That was, Jesus, that is big.
I mean, maybe if I can just sort of...
What is it, about 18 inches? Or is that what she said?
Hold on, let me just... You can see that now.
Yeah, I can see the light on.
Yeah, and you can see that there, look.
Yes, very good.
It's it's damn sight bigger than the actual box. It makes me think that Xbox is so small.
Is it noisy?
Not really.
Because mini fridges sometimes can be, can't they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have it on at the moment. I only have it on when I've got some cans. But it does have a USB in there, so you can charge your controller as well. That works. Yeah, where it actually sits on the Xbox itself.
Yeah.
So there's a USB in there as well.
That's quite a nice touch. That's quite a nice touch. I'll tell you, have you had any you've got LG TV, haven't you?
Yeah.
Have you had any problems with like a clouding?
Describe.
Well, you know when you get a white screen, yeah? Perfect. You should have a perfect white screen. I've got a blue sort of like cloudy colour to the white, just in certain areas, but it's always there and it's fixed.
Is that like a dead pixeling sort of scenario?
No, the pixels are still working, but it's just like a blue colour leak into that area.
Have you tried taking the contrast down?
Yeah, it still does the same thing. And if you know what I mean, because when you're watching a TV program, it's not as noticeable.
Right.
But when you're playing video game stuff, because a lot of the time you're on like.
Was that in your room there or?
Yeah, it's my TV. In my gaming part of my room. And it's just, I don't want to replace the TV, but it's doing my head in enough that I'm going to have to.
Have you tried defaulting the TVs? Actually default the TVs if it was out the box, because you could try that.
Yeah, that is a possibility.
And all the settings, just because you played around with it as much as I do. I tweak all the settings to suit. Have you Googled it as well? Have you had a little look to see if anyone else has had a problem?
I had a look at Google it, and when people have had this problem, they've said just change the tint of the TV. The problem is it changes proportionately, so it's still a slightly different colour. And I
mean, how old is it? It's not that old, is it?
2017. 5-year-old. It's not that old for a TV.
No.
But
is it still in warranty?
No.
Is it a 5-year warranty with those?
No, I think you're only 12 months.
Were they?
Yeah. But it's just really
good. Go on the LG forums as well, maybe, for the, see if you can see anything on there.
Yeah, it's just really doing my head in because I can see it. Now, if I turn around to my wife and I said, what's the matter with this picture?
She said, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. It's fine.
There's nothing the matter with it. It looks fine. But I know it's there. I can see it. It's as clear as day to me. I mean, my wife can't tell the difference between SD and 4K, so she's probably not the best.
I have the same wife. I have the same wife.
Yeah. So don't know why you had to ever update from DVDs to 4K. The resolution, the better picture.
I mean,
the
HDR, she's got a
Dolby Atmos.
My missus got some new glasses recently, and I think she can tell because she watches a lot on Netflix now. And on some of them programs, you can see the vibrant colours of from whatever you're watching, especially when you've got forest in it and stuff like that. You just things do come to life. But interesting.
Yeah, it's just doing my head in. Absolutely doing my head. I'm fed up about it, if you know what I mean. It's just one of them little things that the TV otherwise operates perfectly. Apart from this blue, and I can't figure out what the hell it is. It's so weird. Anyway, I'll have a try about that though, Steve. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
and if anybody else has heard anything, let me know.
Yeah. See if you can resolve it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Shall we move on to gaming this week?
No longer a dream, but a reality.
All right, so gaming this week and a couple of bits of news. First up is Ubisoft is shutting down several online services for older games. So they've announced that they're going to be shutting down the support and online services for many of the older titles. The shutdown of services will only be affecting the original releases. So if you've had, for example, a remaster of Far Cry 3 or Assassin's Creed 3, and that sort of stuff, it will not be affected by the closure. And all of the services will be closed from the 1st of September, and this includes Anno 2070, Assassin's Creed 2, the 2012 release of 3, Brotherhood, Revelations, Driver San Francisco, Far Cry 3 2012 release, Ghost Recon Future Soldier, Prince of Persia, The Forgotten Sands, Rayman Legends, Silent Hunter 5, Space Junkies, Splinter Cell Blacklist, and Zombie U. So, any of them going to affect you, Steve?
Well, I do have them. I do have all the Assassin's Creed games there.
Yeah.
But then you don't play the online part of any of those anymore anyway.
No, they're pretty much dead games. So I'm not really surprised that they're shutting them down.
I mean,
to
be honest, what the Assassin's Creed ones is mostly going to be, is it going to be the online currency you could purchase from?
Yeah, I think it'll be that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And Driver San Francisco, blimey, that was a PlayStation 2 game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was not even on PlayStation 1. Or it feels like it was. I know one of them.
I've got the soundtrack to that sealed. We got that at one of the conventions I went to. Free copy.
That can't be what I went to then.
Ghost Recon, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's all going to be down to stuff like that. I think there's nothing else there.
I like they're making a remake of Prince of Persia: Forgotten Sands, so that's not going to be an issue. Splinter Cell Blacklist.
Yeah, that's a good game.
It is a good game, but I don't think it's any great shake that they're shutting down the online support for it.
Yeah. No, I think. But I mean, Assassin's Creed, I mean, they've got their own services for their games at the moment, haven't they? So yeah, I'm assuming a part of that would be linked to that as well, won't it?
Yeah. So the only thing I think we can really say is it isn't really a revelation at all.
No, it certainly isn't.
No. So the other bit of news is evidently about the Guardians of the Galaxy game narrative director joins BioWare. So the executive narrative director of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy at Eidos Montreal announced that they've joined BioWare. So although Guardians of the Galaxy was not the success that Eidos Montreal and Square Enix were hoping for, the action-adventure game managed to tell one of the best stories of the year, winning multiple awards in 2021, including the Best Narrative at the Game Awards. And that's in no small thanks to the Executive Narrative Director, Mary DeMalle. DeMalle has confirmed her hiring of BioWare, or at BioWare, with a post on LinkedIn on Friday. She shared a short message with her followers announcing that she's happy to share that she's joined the BioWare team as the role of Senior Narrative Director, and she's left Eidos Montreal in July, and she's just freshly begun on BioWare, so there's been no further information shared regarding on what she's working on.
Interesting.
I think this will be a good move. Hopefully, if she's joining the new Mass Effect, we will get a good narrative.
That was what sprung to mind for myself, thinking about it. Yeah,
definitely.
Other than that, is there any other news really going on at the moment?
Nothing that I've particularly seen, but to be honest, I've been in dog mode, so I've not really been looking at the news that much.
Off the top of my head, I can't think there was too much that was going on about. I mean, there's been talk about, with the new Diablo game, there's been rumblings that are being concerned whether or not it would be similar to the mobile game and have sort of pay-to-play, pay-to-win scenarios, which I don't think. I think people are blowing that out of proportion compared to that game, to what you normally play with a Diablo game on PC or Xbox or PlayStation, you know?
Yeah. Do you want to do the new releases? Do you want to do the new releases?
Yeah. Okay. So, not many here. We got Cantana on PC on the 12th of the 5th. Also 12th of the 5th, we got the Centennial Case of a Shishimi Story. That's on all platforms from Square Enix. The 13th, ironically, we have the Evil Dead game, all platforms from Boss Teams. On the 17th, we've got Lovecraft's Untold Stories 2 for PC. And we have 2 Point Campus and all formats from Sega. Not a great deal.
Not really, no. Games with Gold. This month we've got Beasts of Maravilla Island, Relicta, however you pronounce it, Thrillville, Off the Rails, and Torchlight. And with Game Pass, the new ones are Far Cry 5 from July the 1st, Last Call BBS on July the 5th, Matchpoint Tennis Championships on July the 7th, Escape Academy July the 14th, As Dusk Falls July the 19th, and Immortality on the 26th.
Well, ironically, I was just looking about Far Cry 5, I do actually fancy that.
Yeah.
Just to give it a go.
It's a good game. I've
But
completed that one and all of the DLC as well.
I don't think it's on there yet. I mean, I haven't noticed it being advertised.
It was supposed to be.
So in F, got Fable, Fallout. Oh, there it is. Installable. There you go.
Get it installed. It's a good game, good campaign.
If I've got room for it.
You can complete the campaign in about 5 minutes.
What, by running to the end?
No. There's 2 endings, and there is a specific achievement for completing it right at the beginning. But you have, and you can only do it right at the beginning of the game as well. It's a choice that you have to make.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's trying to still sell it for $10.99.
Yeah. PlayStation Plus wise, we've got Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time on the PS5 and 4, The Dark Pictures Man of Medan on PS4, and Arcadegeddon on the PS5 and the PS4. Couple of good games there.
Yeah, Dark Pictures Man of Median, that rings a bell.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have a look at something I was looking earlier. Yeah, okay. We'll mention that later then, that game. Anyway.
Well, I have been playing a Supermassive game, so because that's by Supermassive.
Yeah, because I started playing The Quarry.
All right, okay.
Which is one of theirs.
Is that on Game Pass?
Unfortunately, no.
No, you bought it.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be well worth it because I'm a big fan of their games.
Yeah. Twitch-wise, until July the 13th, you'll be able to claim more than 25 indie games, including Death Squared, Fatal Fury Special, Gina Sisters Twisted Dreams, Gone Viral, Hue, Metal Slug 2, Pumped BMX Pro, Samurai Showdown 2, The Dark Side Detective, and The King of Fighters 2002. And then during the Prime Day event, which takes place on the 12th and 13th, there are a bunch of AAA games you can claim at no extra cost. These include Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Grid Legends, Need for Speed Heat, Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, and Star Wars Republic Commando. That's worth a subscription just for Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Yeah, people that haven't got it.
Yeah.
And the old Star Wars games. Grid Legends is okay. That's a typical standard racing game is from what it is. Remember, the original Grid game was pretty good, but not too sure about that. Which Grid Legends is, which one that is, to be honest.
I don't know. I'm sort of like a little bit out of it in terms of the Grid series. It's not one that I play much. Do you play it?
I have played Grid when it first came out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, downloading Far Cry 5 as we speak.
Okay, so in terms of Epic Store, you can also right now grab for free until 4 p.m. on the 7th of July. Gene Forge 1, Hood, Outlaws and Legends, and Eratus, Lords of the Dead. And then from the 7th of July, you can get Ancient Enemy and Killing Floor 2.
I'm glad you can read that, because it's like reading a mirror. They're in reverse.
Yeah, I don't know why, for some reason it's...
I'm just I'm going, yeah, okay, I get that.
I have no idea why that has suddenly flipped. That is not something I'd done when I pasted it in.
Mirror Viewer. They got Mirror Viewer coming out with Insiana. Yeah, okay, I get it. That's fine.
That is really, really weird. Tell you what, flip horizontal there. That's better.
You go. Look.
There you go. That's weird why that happened, because that was not something that was a dream plan. Anyway, those are the games for this week. So even if you're not buying games, there's plenty to be going at, isn't there?
Mm.
As long as you've got some sort of subscription going on.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, I think, I'm just using my points for subscription at the minute. That's how I'm doing it. So There are other ways you can do it, but I don't think I can do that until if I stop my subscription for a couple of days and try that. But I've still got about 33,000, 34,000 points anyway. So there's 3 months there, easy.
I've got at the moment like 27 quid on Microsoft Credit.
Yeah.
Which is just, what I've cashed in from the points system.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So anyway, shall we move on to the games we've been playing this week? So Steve, what have you been playing?
Okay, I thought you could do you first. Never mind. So something else came to Game Pass the other week was FIFA 22.
Yay!
So yeah, I knew you'd love this one. It's a corker. So this obviously FIFA 22 came out in November last year, and I didn't pull the trigger this year,
Right?
Because FIFA is still much of a match to a certain degree. As much as they like to improve it, and they do improve it, I give their hats off for that one. But we're getting into Destiny and everything else. I think another grind might come a bit difficult, but hey ho, it's on Game Pass. So I've downloaded it, and I just play FIFA Ultimate Team on myself. I'm quite happy to do that. Just gives me a little fix until the World Cup and the new season starts. So it's all right. It does what it says on the tin. The new game will come out in November this year, and then that will then come this time the year later. It'll go on to Game Pass. But I thought there was some news came out some time ago saying that EA were going to sort of finish how FIFA plays and how it works with their game.
Yeah, I'd heard that they weren't going to be doing the yearly stuff anymore, and also they're dropping the licensing as well, aren't they? Supposedly.
Apparently so. So I may end up having whatever one is the last one, whether it's next year's one, 2023.
Well, the simple fact of the matter is you'll be able to pick it up for 50p at CEX at the end of 2023.
Probably, yeah. No, it'd be 50 quid from CEX. You know what they're like.
I don't know what it is. My son's got all of the FIFAs, but he doesn't play football games. He just bought them because they're like 50p at sex.
It's a bargain, Dad. It's a bargain.
Yeah, that's bargain. It's that female, that's the same point of view that my wife always has. If it's cheap, it's a bargain. And it's like, it's not if you don't play it.
Yeah, but you get a Poundland and you can buy stuff for £1.
Yeah.
But it's still cheaper.
Yeah, got a 50p land, you can get twice as much.
Yeah. So I've been grinding away at that, earning some, not spending a penny on the game, but I've just been earning the packs and stuff like that and playing it. So yeah, it's what it is. It's something to come away from and play for 10-15 minutes.
Yeah. Destiny
2, Season of the Haunted is ongoing. Enjoying that with my boy at the minute. He's come back into it. He's totally fixed and has it intravenously injected into his veins now. We were on this afternoon just going through the dungeon.
Okay.
And you definitely need a team for that. So my save point is the first part of the bosses with the bells you have to ring. But if anybody's interested in coming on with us and getting involved in it, give me a shout on Facebook or Twitter, because we want to put a team together to do the dungeon.
I'd be interested.
We were doing it. But yeah, we were doing 2 people, and it was tough. It was tough for 2 people. You need more.
What level do you have to be?
I think it's 1550, something like that.
Yeah, it's higher level than I am at the moment.
My boy was way off the mark. He's now catching me up. He's 1571 at the minute. But he's a good old school player of Destiny as well. So I've been getting him back into it, and he's just loving it. And it's nice to have someone that can, he rings me most nights. Right, what time are you getting on, Dad? Because he's on his laptop. Playing it, and I'm on the Xbox. But it's just really good to get involved with that again. And the dungeon is good. It's easy to do. The mechanics are very similar to the whole part of how you play it, but you just need more people to go through it.
Yeah. And
with the season, the way it goes with the weapons we're building, you're getting those god rolls on the seasonal weapons, which I've been enjoying playing, and it's just fun to play at the moment. Really enjoying it.
See, I haven't played it for about a month, and I'm 15-22, so I'd be a little bit underpowered.
You just put a little bit of time into it if you get time.
Yeah, if I get time. I might do a little bit for the gaming challenge.
Yeah. Cool. So the last thing, I've only just started playing it, and this again is the Quarry. As you know, this comes from Supermassive Games, where I played the hell out of Until Dawn on my PlayStation. And also you got the Dark Pictures scenario. You got House of Ashes, Man in Eden, and Little Hope, which is the trilogy.
Yeah.
As well. I've not played any of those yet. Did you say you played one of them yet at all or not?
The Dark Pictures?
Yeah.
I I'm going to be talking about that in a minute.
Oh, sorry, I didn't notice. There you go.
Yeah.
So basically, this is a scenario similar to like Friday the 13th. When the sun goes down on the last night of the summer camp, 9 teenagers and counselors plunge into the unpredictable night of horror, and you're there to save as many of them as you can. Including in the game, we have got David Arquette, we got Ariel Winter, we have Lynn Shay. There's got a few people in it. I think from just start playing the game, he just got that class from what Supermassive can do in games. It looks great. It's all in the dark, and yeah, it's something to play that can give you a little bit of a jump in the night. And I should look forward to hopefully getting more into that at some point. I just not had the time at the minute, and also I like to have no one on my back when I can just play that sort of game.
Yeah,
it's like watching a movie. You don't want to be disturbed when you're watching it and playing it. So, but yeah, I played the intro to it, and yeah, it looks right up my street. Especially like Until Dawn, because I played the hell out of that game, and it was one of the first games I played on the PlayStation Pro when I picked it up. So yeah, that's about it really for me. It's not a great deal.
No,
I think it's more about updating the box with different games at the minute, because there's been a lot of updates. I did actually try and play. I had a little bit of a race with a Halo ship on Microsoft Flight Sim.
Yeah,
and I've had a little look at the aircraft from the movie Top Gun as well. That's on there now. What I do need to do is put my PlayStation on actually and have a look to see what the content for Air Combat where it is. I'm not sure if that's a freebie or not for that, because then I'll get my PlayStation headset out for VR and give it a whirl.
Wow, that's going to be dusted off then, isn't it?
It's up there. It's got a lovely proper PlayStation case. I just pull out here. Look, I don't know where I got them. There you go. Woohoo!
Your ping pong ball on a stick.
Yeah, that's it. Grand. They are to come by now, aren't they, as well, I think?
Yeah, they're really expensive to buy.
Are they really? Yeah. Probably CX put the price up, didn't they?
Yeah. You can actually get new batteries for them as well. You can replace batteries inside them.
Oh, you can you? They are open, are they?
Yeah, you can open them and do it. Obviously, it's not something that's recommended, but I've been thinking about doing that because I've actually been thinking about doing it with all of my PlayStation 3 controllers, just putting in new batteries, because obviously they're getting a bit old and you don't want the batteries to expand and leak and all of this, that and the other. Although you can plug in a PS5 battery into a controller into a PS3.
Yeah.
And it works. But you have to keep it on a lead, which is a bit unfortunate.
Like your dog. That's all right, it's fine.
Yeah. It's a bit rough.
Certainly is.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to dive into your...
Yeah, okay, well, talking about the dark pictures, for the 24-hour gaming challenge, I've started streaming Little Hope.
How is it?
Good, very good. Really, it's very much what you would expect from Supermassive and the Dark Pictures games. Highly detailed, great looking, where your choices determine the outcome. And I'm planning on playing more of the game over the 24-hour period as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I think I did start to download one of them at one point, but I'd say my hard drive is just a standard one in the box. So,
are you still? You're not subscribed to PlayStation Plus anymore, are you?
No, I'm not. No.
Yeah, you see, you could have got the Man of Medan for free this month if you had been, because it's one of the games.
I wasn't sure if they were all on Game Pass at all or not, or they had been at some point. I don't remember. Yeah, all of them being on there.
Have you? Did you ever play Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls? They were by Quantic Dreams.
No, but I do have the discs sitting up there. Actually, I haven't actually ever got them out. So
you want to play those? If you like, the Dark Pictures games, you want to play those because they're very similar.
I've got a funny feeling I do have them, or am I looking wrong? Not sure. I'm trying to see if I've got them or not. I'm not sure if I do actually, thinking about it. But they're easy to pick up cheap anyway on disc, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, very much so. I mean, Beyond Two Souls, that stars Elliot Page, because the actor changed their sexuality, didn't they? A couple of years back. But it is a really good game. Is that one? Really enjoyed the story. So obviously, these are really heavy narrative ones. And then Heavy Rain, other than shouting for Jason quite a lot, is a very enjoyable story. Although I kind of had figured out the story probably about an hour before the end of the game, where it was going. But well worth a look. And I mean, you can get on like CD keys Heavy Rain on the PC for $4.99.
Yeah, I'd probably get it reasonably cheap for the PlayStation. Just seeing if I can't remember if all of them were on Game Pass at one point.
Well, they won't be.
One of them was, I'm sure of it, at some point. Or was it on Xbox Gold games?
I don't think either will be, because weren't the PlayStation exclusives before they went to PC?
I'm not too sure. I'm just jumping down the list on Game Pass here at the minute, because I just had a funny feeling. There you go. So no, a Plague Tale. That's something completely different, isn't it? It's not that.
Yeah.
I thought I owned one of them at some point. Pretty sure I did.
Yeah, Beyond Two Souls was PlayStation exclusive. I'm sure Heavy Rain was as well.
Yeah, I think at some point you're right there. I think they did do that with them. But I just got a funny feeling.
Yeah, it was destined to be on the 360, was Heavy Rain, but it never made it. So it was in development, but they must have pulled it, probably because they got a wad of cash from PlayStation or something.
Yeah.
But all of these games, they all play very similar and they look very similar, but it's just great narratives. I mean, Heavy Rain got the BAFTA winner for games back in the day. Can't remember when that was, though.
No, I can't remember, actually. I'm just going through my whole entire collection to see if I did own them. So I thought I did one of them, unless I'm thinking of the PlayStation at some point. But I just thought, never mind. Anyway, so any more thoughts on it? Is it worth going through the others if you get a chance as well?
Yeah, I quite like the look of the latest one that released, but I've not got that one yet. But I thought the Dark Pictures would be doing one of those on the stream would be quite good and engaging for people as well. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to continue to play that, so I'll be streaming more of that in the future. Excuse me. Another game I've been playing is a game called Fractured Minds. I did this as my first stream. So this is a bit of a strange one. It's an immersive artistic short game, an indie title that explores anxiety and mental health issues. So it links in with the whole purpose of, why I'm doing the Children's Trust Gaming Challenge, because it's to help children with these sort of issues.
Yeah.
But basically, on the game, you embark on a journey through the human psyche to sort of like experience the everyday challenges associated with these sort of conditions. And the great thing is that this game was created by a young woman called Emily Mitchell, who won the BAFTA Young Game Designers Award for the 15 to 18-year-old category in 2017 for this game. So it felt like it was one that was really, really worth playing in terms of raising awareness of mental health issues. So I played it as part of the Children's Society Gaming Challenge, just to do exactly that, basically. I wouldn't say it's the most entertaining game in the world, but it is interesting in terms of it makes you think about the anxiety and mental stresses that people, with mental health conditions go through. Just very general sort of stuff. Things like opening up presents and blowing out a birthday cake. Do you know what I mean? Or just leaving a room sort of thing. Or getting, unlocking a door, or all of these sort of things. They're all made it raises that awareness of crossing the road with strangers going past and stuff like that. It's quite interesting. It's got a very basic sort of style. It's 3D, but it's very basic sort of style in the look. But it's quite an interesting sort of experience. It's only about 30 minutes. It's not a long title in any way, shape, or form. And then the last game that I've been playing has been Sniper Elite 4.
I haven't played this for donkeys.
No, I hadn't either. And I've had this in my collection for a while. And I thought, do you know what? I don't mind. I want to see a few more X-rays of bullets going through Nazis.
Especially the genital ones.
Oh, my God. I've winced every time that I've done one of those shots, I'll tell you. But basically, this is an experience of the third-person combat, gameplay choice, and epic long shots across gigantic levels, and are much bigger than previous ones. And this one's set around liberating Italy from the grip of the Nazis. So if you've played Sniper Elite games before, then you basically know it does exactly what it says on the tin. You play the part of a sniper, you've got to find sniping nests and stuff like that and take targets out. I've loved this game series from Rebellion, but I've never got round to playing this title before. And it's just so satisfying when you make those perfect long sniper shots, especially if you do so unheard. And to me, it's sort of like, it's one of those strange sort of things of, it has a resonance for me because my father, when he was in the RAF, was a sniper.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, he was posted on the Berlin Wall and stuff like that, back in the late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. But yeah, that was because he was like obviously drafted from school because conscription was still going after the war when he, was old enough. And it was because of that his squadron leader was my uncle.
Oh, really?
Really. So my uncle introduced my mum and dad basically. But yeah, so that was his role. He was a sniper, and I've always had a fascination with, long distance shots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even before I even knew my dad, that's what he did. I've only ever shot a gun in real life once in my life. But that was quite an experience.
Yeah,
at a target, I would say, not at a person.
I tell what I just before saying, Little Hope at the moment is $9.99 on Xbox.
Yeah, that's good.
But if you want the whole package, they got the Duck Pictures Anthology House of Ashes, Little Hope, the Creator's Cut, Man of Median, the Creator's Cut for that. It's $49.99 though. It's a bit steep.
Yeah, a little bit. I would say these games should be charged at between 10 and 20 quid. I think beyond that, they're not really worth it because it's more of an interactive movie.
Yeah, and some of those smaller games are still more one-hit wonders than Until Dawn was, where I played that 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I was saying about shooting. I did one of Del Boy's specials. Went on a clay pigeon shoot.
All right, yeah.
I didn't wave mine like he did at the people around him, but I had good fun with that. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I must admit, I did hit a few of the clays when we did the scoring on it, and I was near the top of the tree, so gaming does help.
Yeah, well,
I
mean, the time when I did it, I got 80% hit on the bullseye, and the only shot that I missed the bull was the first one, and even then I wasn't that far out.
Yeah.
But I'd never shot a gun in real life before, and it was live ammunition. It was all completely, legit and above board, sort of, because there are places you can go. But yeah, it was absolutely brilliant experience. Always had a fascination with guns in a not weird way. Because
yeah, I know what you mean. Because there was a shooting today in Copenhagen, apparently.
It's awful, isn't it? I mean, they should ban guns. I can't see why people need guns unless you're a farmer, and that's for very specific sort of reasons. You certainly, I don't care who you are, unless you're in the army, you don't need a semi-automatic or a fully automatic firearm.
No.
But that's a very British-centric sort of view, and one that I'm sure will not be shared by a lot of our American cousins. And we appreciate that you have a different sort of society to us. But
yeah, it's something I wouldn't like to dive into a conversation about, because I don't think I could say the right thing, if you know what I mean. It's very hard.
It's one of those controversial sort of conversations, like, are you pro-life or not? Or euthanasia.
I mean, there's a lot of things going on in America, especially with the latest trials and tribulations across the states, which I don't want to talk about, but you know what you probably know what I'm on about, and it's just horrendous. But
don't you think, though, that the world's sort of like going to pot? You know, we've got
it has, when Lurpak is now £7 in a store.
That's ridiculous.
You know, we have a petrol crisis, we have bills going up, we have protests all over the world. I mean, there's going to be a slow protest this week on the M4 regarding fuel prices, and it's going to be a cavalcade of vehicles going at 20 miles an hour, stopping the traffic by slowing it right down to protest about the fuel prices. So we're going. I feel like the gritty days of the 70s, when we had strikes, power cuts, all that. I feel it's coming back.
Cold War with Russia.
Yeah, it's. I think we're going back. We are going back to the 70s in some way or another, you know. But
well, let's hope that we go back to the late 70s, so that there's only a few years until we actually go into the latter part of the 80s, when we get the Gorbachev sort of approach.
Bring back again spitting image. I mean, I'm sure if that was still on, it has been.
Well, it is on, isn't it?
Is it still on? I mean, I imagine they could read, you know, the politicians at the moment, especially over here. It's just, you could have a field day, couldn't you?
I'm not even going to get involved in a conversation about.
No. Anyway, should we move swiftly
about
on?
that? Let's move swiftly on. But anyway, I haven't finished about talking about Sniper Elite. So
yeah, go on, carry on.
Because we diverted quite a long way. So anyway, it's a great series for Rebellion. And obviously they do the offshoot of Sniper Elite, which is the zombie army sort of games as well. But these games, when you do a really good long shot, it's very satisfying. And this is not one of those games that you go in and, you know, it's like Destiny or Gears of War or anything like that, where you go and get stuck in and you're shooting everything real quick. This is a slower paced game. It's about stealth and cover, although I must admit I tend to not have the patience to wait for the cover, and I just get myself into a sniper position and start picking people out anyway. That's my preferred way of playing it. But you're supposed to play it a bit more stealthy than I do. But it's a great game. 2 of my streams I've done so far for the gaming challenge have been on this. The X-ray shots for me, when you see, because if you do a really good shot, it does you a video of the bullet entering the person's body and the impact on their internal organs.
That's right.
And just sort of like seeing a headshot where you shoot someone through their eye and you see the compression of the brain because of the shockwave, and then it spans back out and splats out the back. It is just something about it. It's just so
satisfying.
Yeah, in a very gross sort of way. But it's part of that as a game, and it's quite interesting to see the idea of the modelling behind the impact of what these weapons do as well. So, and also this one's got like perks and skill trees, and the more that you play, you get higher rank, and then you get better crafting of better weapons, and so you can do your shooting craft all the more. So well worth a go, and it's a great story as well. So definitely one to play if you're into the Sniper Elite games or that sort of game. Anyway, shall we move on to movies, TV, and streaming?
Let's do it.
In quest of a better life.
All right. So, movies, TV, and streaming, and a couple of bits of news. Steve, do you want to do your bit of news first?
So, with not too much fanfare and a little bit of grief in actually getting it to bloody work, Paramount Plus is now on Sky.
Yay!
And it's free to Sky Movie subscribers. So
yeah, but not to Sky Q subscribers, which it said originally it was going to be.
I'm still a Sky Q subscriber.
Yeah, but you have to have the movies. Because I didn't get it, so I've subscribed to the movies to get it, because I think it's just worth it to get the movies again now. I've got the movies for another £8.
You can do like a 6 monthly freebie one as well with that, I think, or something, can't you?
A month.
Month, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
But I had to go through a few hoops to. So
yes.
when I went to actually hit the button to subscribe, it said, "I'm sorry, but we're rather busy right now. Can you come back later?" Gosh, imagine every person that's got Sky Movies or whatever has been trying to put their subscription in. But I did that eventually.
So they can watch Star Trek: Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, and Halo and all other bits and pieces that are on there. Not Star Trek: The Director's Cut, which I'll go into in a minute. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff on there, a lot of movies, all the Paramount.
But it's nowhere near as good a deal as the Americans get.
Well, they're in front of us, and I think I did tweet to Paramount Plus about the thing that upsets me is that we don't get a 4K stream out of it. Now, because of what Sky can do there, and I think even in the States, but it must have some sort of 4K situation, because the director's cut of Star Trek: The Motion Picture is in 4K.
Yeah.
So when I mentioned that, and they said things would be coming in time, so I'm assuming they get it launched. They'll add whatever they need to add, because we're going to get. I don't think they're all in there, but all the Mission Impossible movies, for example, they'll be on there.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, though, that is such a weak answer. It'll be coming in time, isn't it? Because
he said we just getting it out there first of all. I don't know what it's a few things to do to get it running. So I started watching Star Trek, but I'm probably going to wait until a lot more on there, because then you can sort of binge them a bit better.
What, before you start watching Strange New Worlds?
Well, I've already started it, but I'm thinking, it's behind anyway from everyone else on the planet. But I don't know why that is. It's a bit bizarre. But my list consists of everything Star Trek at the moment. I've just favorited everything that's Star Trek.
Yeah.
They're giving you 1080p at the moment. But if I was to watch one of the movies that I got at home here, I'd probably stick, in the other room and stick it on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's okay. Halo, I need to have a look at that yet. Have you dived into that at all?
I watched the first episode.
Did it grab you?
Nope.
That's a shame. I think it's got a bit of a love more in America, because I think Halo has a bit more of a following. But yeah, there's a lot of movies on there. Some older movies. There are some shows missing that are on the States again as well, which I'm looking forward to. But I've got a funny feeling I did see an advert for the new Scream movies coming out shortly.
Yeah. Here's something that I don't know if you don't want to have tried this, but I tried changing my VPN to America to be able to watch Star Trek: The Motion Picture Director's Cut. And it doesn't recognise UK accounts in the American store, which Netflix does.
And Netflix, I think, are fighting back with that, because they've been upping people's subscriptions to people that have been trying it on. So I've heard, don't know how true that is. But the disc of going back to the motion picture briefly, I think it comes out about maybe September time anyway on 4K. So you and I will definitely have a copy, out of the box.
Oh, yeah.
And but yeah, it's all right. I mean, be interesting to see. If you've not seen Mission Impossible Fallout, that's a fantastic movie. That's my second favourite one of the all of them they've done. That's on there. Some of the old classic Paramount films of old are on there as well. So
did you see the Fallout Mission Impossible? I think it was Fallout, the one that I did of Beat Saber.
I think I did. I've seen a few now.
Yeah, that was quite a good song map.
Yeah, and I've got the app. I've got them on. I've logged into my app at the moment as well, and there's quite a lot of stuff. There's some concerts on there. There's stuff for the kids as well. So I'm sure it'll expand as it goes.
Yeah.
You've got Showtime on there as well, which is the American subscription service, which has got stuff like Dexter on it. Comedy Central, MTV, Nickelodeon for the kids, Nick Jr. for the kids, and the Smithsonian Channel.
Now, on Showtime, the thing to watch is The Man Who Fell to Earth.
It's a Bowie song, isn't it?
It was also a Bowie movie as well, but it's now a TV series. And it's got Carl from Doctor Strange.
Can't see it on there. Dexter. The Borgias, my missus loved that show. The new series of Dexter, New Blood, which I thought was very good. Ray Donovan. Twin Peaks, if you've not seen it, that's quite a good show. No, I can't see it on there, to be honest.
Definitely on there.
Not on the app, it isn't.
Should be.
Trending shows, you've got Yellowstone, Strange New Worlds, Blue Bloods, South Park, Star Trek Discovery.
Check out that link I've just sent you.
That's Ireland, though, isn't it? Is that different?
Shouldn't be Ireland.
It says Ireland IE on it.
Mine doesn't.
It just did. Anyway, but yeah, I'll have a little look later.
Yeah, but well, anyway, that'll tell you it. But no, the address is paramountplus.com/shows/The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Interesting.
So I don't know why you're saying Ireland.
I am just going to. I'm just going to type it in. Oh, there it is. Found it.
Yeah, really good. Been enjoying that show. There's only 4 episodes in so far, but.
Let me have a look. One season.
Yeah.
4 episodes. Yeah.
I think that there's 9 or 10 intended in total. We're probably behind.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm quite pleased with Paramount Plus as well, and plus the fact of getting Sky Movies back as well. I've got all of those.
Yeah, well, my miss is actually waiting. I will probably sit with her and watch it, but she's a big fan of Downton Abbey. And the movie that came out this summer
is evidently awful.
No, I tell you, it's got a big following, but it should be coming on shortly onto Sky. Oh, that's something else I forgot about. It's all right. I just remembered another film I watched while we've been away, which I'm just going to add to my list. But yeah, I'm glad it's out there now. It's taken a while for him to do it. So we'll just see what comes out.
Yeah. Well, the bit of news that I've had was there is some rumours about who is going to be the next Wolverine.
Oh, I thought you could mention James Bond then.
No.
Go on, carry on.
Well, to be honest, he might even become the next James Bond, because I would say that he's already proven himself in that nature overall. And that is Taron Egerton. So if you're thinking who the hell's Taron Egerton, he was Eggsy on The Kingsman, and he also played Eddie the Eagle with Hugh Jackman on the Eddie the Eagle movie. So yeah, and also Elton John, funnily enough. So
yeah, that was Elton John's worst performance. Come on, you must agree to that.
What, the movie?
Yeah, the second Kingsman movie wasn't great, was it? It was
amusing. It was amusing.
Yeah.
But no, I really I can really see Taron Egerton actually doing that role. Out of all of the actors who have been sort of suggested,
yeah,
I think that he'll, because he's a good actor. He's got good range. So yeah, definitely, I'd be up for him doing that.
I mean, I'd like to see another. I'd like him to do another a Kingsman flick. I think one was on the offering. I'm not too sure if it was.
I'm sure that there'll be another Kingsman flick in there somewhere as well at some point.
Yeah. I don't think I could see him as Bond. I could see him playing a young version of something like that, maybe.
Well, you know who else wanted to play the young Bond, don't you?
Yes.
Tom Holland.
Yeah. He certainly did.
Yeah. I don't know whether or not I could see that or not. I don't think he's tall enough.
No, he's too short.
Mind you, so's Taron Egerton, isn't he? So he's not tall, I believe.
Yeah. I still feel that the first Kingsman movie is the best.
Yeah.
I actually don't. I've got a digital copy I got from somewhere on a forum page or something. But I'd love to have a hard copy of that. Just that film is just brilliant. I just love it. It's.
I've got the movie in 4K.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But the Golden Circle, it was, it wasn't the best one.
No.
It was
a little bit cheesy, but then again, it was okay. I'm glad they did a second one. I'm glad to see it come back and they did it, but sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot what his name is. Who plays the Mandalorian? Pedro Pascal.
Mm.
I mean, he was just Burt Reynolds in that movie.
Yeah.
In the Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
So the guy that had the whip. The guy with the whip, isn't it?
Yeah, he was just Burt Reynolds. Through and through. He even looked like him.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't even feel that Julianne Moore was right for the role that she played, to be honest.
No.
I think she was the wrong choice personally for
that. I think the thing is that the Golden Circle was more for laughs, whereas the first one was more action, I think.
Damn sight serious as well.
Yeah, it was more Bondified, whereas I think that they kind of did a parody of the Roger Moore Bonds.
Yeah.
On the second one. But interestingly enough, Roger Moore was voted recently the best Bond.
Yeah, what was all that about?
I don't know. I think he had the best stories. He also had the worst ones as well. Well, apart from For Russia with Love, I never did like that movie.
That was Sean Connery.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all.
Well, it was cold, very much cold. Well, sort of,
it was definitely a spy sort of.
Yeah, a true spy.
Yeah, but it wasn't in the Bond formula because it was before the first two movies weren't really Bond formula, although Dr. No was more Bond formula than from The Spy Who Loved Spy Who Loved Me.
I mean, and then when Goldfinger kicks in, it went to a different level then, didn't it?
Yeah, that was then. This is Bond. We've worked it out now, guys. We've had two movies. We've had a crack at it. This is it. This is it for the next 20 years. And that's exactly what it was.
Mm.
And then they started to weaken Bond with Timothy Dalton. And then
there's a few favourites. A few people did like him. I mean,
I think it would have been a good Bond. I think that the problem is because of the whole AIDS pandemic and stuff like that at the time, they watered down the sexuality of Bond quite a bit. So you only ever had two women a movie. It wasn't like the Moore or the
Mario D'Arbo in Living Daylights.
Yeah.
But then Roger Moore had a pestering 16-year-old ice skater. That felt so wrong.
Oh God, yeah, that really was. I watched that yesterday actually, and I was just sort of cringing with it. I was thinking she's a child. Get away,
She was in bed and he walked in. I was like, here I am.
Yeah, but he never did anything with
her. He stood up and he was British and said no. I don't think that's the right terminology to say, but because he was getting so old, that's where it was flagging from that point of view, especially when his last movie.
He was fine.
And with Tanya Roberts in the shower,
Yeah. Just, I'll make room for your Zimmer frame, Rog. Don't worry.
Lean on that bit. If it gets a bit cold, just holler,
Bless him, but I when he was at his prime, Moore was a brilliant Bond.
Oh yeah, absolutely he was. Yeah,
and
he was my. I suppose in one way he was my Bond from the point of the fact that even though I started going to the cinema 72 when Live and Let Die came out, so he was sort of the first Bond I saw. I did see at the same time as him when that came out, the cinema decided to show all the Sean Connerys and double bills, so I got to see all of those before they had the ITV premieres, which would have been, was that late 70s when they started putting Bond on as premieres on Sunday nights?
Yeah. I think the first time I saw Bond at the cinema was The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah.
Because before that I was just way too young.
Yeah, because I'm a little bit older.
Even then, I was still way young. I mean, what year?
See, I was 8. I think I was 8 when I saw Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
Then Man with the Golden Gun was a couple of years later. So I'd have been about 10 or 11.
So The Spy Who Loved Me was out the same
77.
year as Star Wars. So
77,
I was 6.
Okay.
And I remember going to see that movie
Mm.
and seeing the turbo spree going in the water and all of that, and just like thinking this is marvellous.
Always remember what year it came out, because the third or fourth track in is called Bond 77. So
Yeah.
I always remember that.
Yeah, it's not hard to guess really what year it came out then from that perspective.
Yeah.
And I love that version of Bond theme tune as well. That's one of my favourite versions.
I think I did. If I remember rightly, I went to, because when I was living in Slough at the time, I picked up the Carly Simon single for that one as well. So I think I've still got the single as well, as well as buying the soundtrack as it was.
Yeah, I love that song. That is one of my favourite Bond songs ever.
See, it dipped a little bit, and I mean, so I know we're diving off again, usual, but as much as I weren't keen on after that, I mean, Moonraker was okay, but the one I think that was in between,
For Your Eyes Only.
Yeah, as much as I had the single from Sheena Easton, don't get me wrong, that was a bit poor. Some people it wasn't. Some people it wasn't, because it's maybe their first Bond. So from that perspective, it's slightly different. But for me, from everything I've seen up to that point, it dived down a bit.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, interesting enough, for Your Eyes Only, the woman who was the Bond girl, because a lot of it was underwater on that movie, not like Thunderball, but there was a lot of underwater scenes because the submarine had sunk. There was that computer under the water, and the Bond.
Was it? You sure? You're getting confused with another Bond film or something, are you? In the China Sea.
For Your Eyes Only. That one.
They all blend into each other sometimes, but
yeah, I'm not talking about License to Kill. Not License to Kill. What was the one?
Tomorrow Never Dies, was it?
No, the one that was after. Because it had Grace Jones in it.
Oh no, I'm going way past that. But yeah, that was View to a Kill. Sorry.
Yeah, View to a Kill. No, For Your Eyes Only, it was the one where there was some sort of tracking device or whatever it was. And they had to go under the water, and the woman, the lead Bond girl, was French, and she in real life had some sort of sinus problem, so she couldn't do the proper underwater scenes. So what they did was put a fish tank in front of the camera. I was about to say,
that's the classic way of doing it. They did it in Thunderbirds and Stingray and all those sort of things, They
put the fish tank in front of the camera, had a fan blowing her hair up, and slowed the footage down. And that's how they did the underwaters.
They've been doing that. They've been cheating on that for years since Thunderbirds did it.
When you watch it, you can absolutely tell.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, because it doesn't look realistic. Because for a start off, people get that bloated sort.
Because that was a Civic. The Civic Chase had that, wasn't it? On that one with the yellow Civic.
No, you had the yellow Lotus. Oh,
the yellow Civic.
Yeah. No, sorry. Bond had a yellow Lotus on that, another Esprit, because it was the one that was straight after, or two after The Spy Who Loved Me. Because there was Spy Who Loved Me, then there was Moonraker, and then there was License to Kill. And they were still doing Lotus as the main car, but obviously on Moonraker, he didn't have a Bond car per se that I can
License to Kill was Timothy Dalton, though.
Not License to Kill.
Octopus?
For Your Eyes Only. For Your Eyes Only.
Okay, For Your Eyes Only, yeah, okay.
Sorry, getting my Bond names mixed up.
Now, they blend into each other sometimes.
Yeah. Do you know, once upon a time, I could have... Well, I mean, even now, I can still... a second of Bond footage, I'll tell you what movie it is. Because... my wife said, as soon as I walked into the living room today, which Bond? And I looked at the screen and said, Dr. No. And I was right, it was Dr. No.
Yeah, because I think I got the TV the other day, and Spy Love Me was on at the time, and it was the scenes with the ship opening up, taking the submarine, and then you open up the Bond stage, all the lights go on and that.
My wife has tested me like this for the last 20 years. On Bond.
So every time we put ITV4 on, there's always a Bond movie on.
Yeah, exactly. She's tested me over the years, at least once a week, and I've only ever named it wrong once, and it was more.
What was that?
I can't remember which movie it was, but it was one of the ones that I didn't. I think it might have been From Russia with Love, because I looked at it. I said,
had all the gypsies going on, the gypsy scenes and all that.
Oh, actually, yeah, it was gypsies, because I think I like a circus or something or other like that, and
it was a gypsy camp at the time, and there was a scrap going with two girls over something, and he was watching that, and then all hell broke loose.
It was something like that. I think I'd said it was Octopussy, and it was that one instead. Something like I can't remember, but that, it got caught out because the imagery was so similar in the two movies. But you can't beat a bit of Bond.
No, you can't. Anyway, should we go on to what we go back into what we were basically doing?
Go back to our normal program. So go on then, Steve. You do the cinema releases.
Okay, so I didn't realise it was coming out this early. So 7th of July we got Thor: Love of Thunder, and we got the Laid Back Camp movie. 8th of July we got Brian and Charles, whatever that might be.
No idea what that is. Blu-ray DVD releases. The key ones I've picked out here are Batman Ultimate Collector's Edition 4K Ultra Steelbook, Batman Returns Ultimate Collector's 4K Steelbook. Will be
the pricey ones, aren't they? The real pricey ones.
The real pricey ones, indeed. And then we've got on July the 11th, we've got Amityville Blu-ray Collection and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom 4K Steelbook. And also Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2.
And can I take a pick out of there? We have Chucky Season 1 Steelbook, and that was a great show on Sky. Love that. That was a real take on the horror series. That's
on 4th of July.
And we have here, let me have a look. I saw something else in there. Or did I not? I haven't watched it yet, but you got Backlight with Liam Neeson. That was on Sky. Was it on Sky or on Netflix? I can't remember now.
I don't know. Sounds like a Netflix.
Yeah, I saw that. And because my miss said, "Oh, you like that one, didn't she?"
Oh, there's also Sherwood, the BBC drama on DVD. If you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a bit. I remember seeing the Batman on Zavvi for that. And I think they're really expensive. They're like an Ultimate Edition set.
Yeah, they're like 40-50 quid each, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, I've got two still. I've got the Steelbook Batman and Batman Returns.
Yeah.
It's only two you need. And I got the first run of how that came out.
I'm going to be controversial here, and I'm going to say I actually quite like Val Kilmer's Batman.
Why?
Because I did. I don't know. I can't really explain to you why, because it wasn't a brilliant movie, but I quite enjoyed it.
Okay.
I think he did an okay interpretation of that cross between Bruce Wayne and Batman. I think he got both characters generally okay. I think he was coming after Michael Keaton, and to be honest, he's not in the same caliber as Michael Keaton, but he was all right.
These are the ones I have.
Yeah.
So that one there, which is the first one, and then
Steelbox.
Yeah, and they're fine. That's all I need really. And I had something come over the last couple of weeks, and it's this.
The Untouchables.
Yeah, and that's that comes with cards and bits and pieces as well. It comes with a poster.
Yeah.
And it comes in that snazzy box like that.
Yeah, I looked at that, but decided against
it. But it's
it.
one of my. There's a few gangster films that are in my head that I just adore, and that is one of them.
Well, for me, I'd got season 2 of Game of Thrones in 4K. You haven't watched it, so don't start.
I'm not going to start. It's just I know the ending was crap and people were disappointed.
The ending wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad, was it? You quite liked it.
I thought it was fine. I mean, I think people build these things up to be much more epic in their expectations than they're ever going to be. I just went along with the flow of it.
Yeah.
But I also picked up another thing, which was an incomplete series, but a good one nonetheless in terms of a reimagining, which is V.
Now, I like that series.
I did.
And it's a shame. It's a shame that they cancelled it.
Yeah, I would love to see that come back.
Because I quite liked her in it. The on that packaging, the girl on the left.
Yeah.
As I look at it.
Yeah, the Queen.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's the other thing I had over the last few weeks.
Stephen King's Cat's Eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is well worth it. It's a new restoration of it as well. Drew Barrymore there as a little child in that one.
Mm.
But yeah, I remember watching the V series on when it came out. And I did get into that very much, and just disappointed that they ended up just cancelling the show in the end.
Yeah, it was such a shame, and especially when you actually got to see what do you call him, Donovan, finally appear in the Mark Singer, wasn't it? Is that the name of the actor who played Donovan?
What, in the original?
Yeah,
because
he turned up at the very last episode, didn't he? As a part of.
I can't remember now. It was such a long time ago.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm looking forward to watching those again. So.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the cinema charts?
Yeah. So, interestingly, what I'd like to see actually. So we'll start from the bottom. In at 5, we got Black Phone. We have Lightyear at 4, Top Gun Maverick at 3, Jurassic World Dominion at 2, and at number 1 we have Elvis, which I'm very keen to see at some point. I did see the trailer for it when I went to see Top Gun.
Mm. Didn't
even recognise Tom Hanks as a big dude in that, in a big padded suit. And also Top Gun, I think, is now grossed worldwide 100 million, I think, apparently. So what I was hearing.
Is that all?
I don't something. It was something like, I don't know if it was total, but it was something that was knocking around much bigger than the gross of 63. So it's still rocking up. And Black Phone looks interesting as well. I've not heard too much about that.
I don't
know.
But
Lightyear, But Lightyear is another play on Buzz Lightyear, isn't it? So.
Yes and no. It is the character of Buzz Lightyear, but it is Buzz Lightyear, not the toy.
Yeah.
So
I see. Is it live action or not? Or
no, it's not. It's still animated, Pixar animated. But think about the toy and then throw all of that away, because he's an astronaut on this. He's not.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you. Yeah. And unfortunately, as much as it's number 2, Jurassic World Dominion, I think it's had a bit of a poor review. What I'm hearing, and you can tell by its total at the moment as well. It's not great. And I will see that at some point.
I'll see it at some point as well.
But I mean, when you see the trailer for it, you think, wow, because I did see the trailer when I saw Top Gun, and you thought, oh man, you got all the old characters back, and it's a bit messy, the story.
Yeah.
It's a bit disappointing.
I think the thing is, these movies, they kind of paint themselves into a corner, and then you just get the franchise sort of trundling on for a few movies when really they should have just concluded the whole story a bit quicker.
Or start a new one.
Yeah. Well, that's what they did do, wasn't it? Because they did the 3 Jurassic Parks, and then they got to Jurassic World, and this is the 3rd one of the new franchise.
Yeah.
Anyway, Blu-ray DVD charts. At number 5, staying in number 5, we've got Top Gun. At number 4, new entry is X. At number 3, a re-entry is Doctor Who and the Daleks. At number 2, down from 1, is The Batman. And at number 1, a new entry straight in there is Doctor Who, The Collection.
Yeah, so the Daleks one is a remastered 4K
of the Peter Cushing one.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, I've got those. I've got them on DVD.
Yeah, so have I. Yeah.
Is that the same collection?
No, I've got the one with the red packaging.
Yeah.
But it's the same movies.
Yeah, but I don't think,
because it's Doctor Who and the Daleks and Doctor Who, so the Daleks Invasion Earth, isn't it?
That one there,
yeah. Yeah.
But they're, it's completely out of timeline. It's completely on its own.
Well, he's even referred to as Doctor Who. And let's face it, the Doctor is never referred to as Doctor Who. That's the whole point.
I know, and funnily enough, I think that was mentioned in one of the not the latest shows, but going back a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
With Matt Smith, it was mentioned.
Yeah.
And the guy in the box was saying Doctor Who, and he was saying, who are you?
Yeah.
So
Anyway, Steve, let's get on to the main bit about what we've been watching, because we've got humdingers of shows to talk about.
You're going to start with...
Well, that we're both going to, because you've been watching it as well.
Oh, should we start with that then?
Yeah.
So, before we actually started this show, we was running a little bit late. Only reason being is I wanted to watch the last episode of the Midwich Cuckoos, which is the whole season, 7 episodes of one story.
Is it 7? I thought it was 6.
I think it was 7.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so this is based on the book of the same name and is one of my all-time favourite sci-fi flicks, which was called Village of the Damned. And we had John Carpenter in 1995 giving his version of it as well.
Yeah.
Well, I did sit back and watch a bit of that today, actually. I just decided to put it on after being watching the Sky show.
Ironically, this is what I found funny. We sat and we watched. I actually watched this with my wife, which is like a miracle in itself because it's sci-fi.
Yeah.
But anyway, it got her enthralled, so she watched it. And I said, well, there's actually the John Carpenter movie. So I bought it, got it for like a couple of quid on Amazon.
How much? How much did I can't remember how much I paid for mine. I've had it for donkeys, but is it what, that one there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it for, I think it was $4.99, something like that. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah, it's one disc. There's no real special features on it. It's just a trailer.
Yeah, just a movie. That's all I wanted, was just that.
What was the thoughts in it because of the cast for that?
Oh, God, the cast was amazing on that.
Had you ever seen it before?
I'd seen it years ago, but I'd sort of like forgotten. Yeah. Because...
And then you forgot who was in it?
Yeah, I had. But it was just...
I can roll them up your tongue if you want, if you're looking online.
Well, obviously Superman, isn't it? It's Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, Kirstie Alley.
Yeah,
Linda Kowalski,
Mark Hamill
was a priest.
Yeah, because as a priest, yeah, God, that was... I was watching, that's Mark Hamill. What's Mark Hamill doing on here? Oh, there was some absolutely fantastic actors in that movie. It was great. Really loved it. And it's just normal sort of John Carpenter brilliance, isn't it?
It is. It's funny because when you see how that ended,
the
climax of that one compared to, well, the original I just adore. And as I say, the original it's a very short film. You can watch it in about an hour and 10 minutes. It's not very long.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll just double check on the back of the box. 77 minutes long it is. So that's a pretty quick film.
Yeah.
And that finished. If you've not seen it now, tough, young. I'm going to spoil the ending. So the kids were in the school, and the main lead.
Wait, hang on. You can't spoil the ending of the Village of the Damned because it will also, in a way, spoil the ending of the Midwich Cuckoos.
Well, do you know what? I mean, all right, okay. I know you. I think, but anyway.
In a way, I know that they're different, but you got to watch it because it's brilliant.
Yeah. So from seeing, we had one episode left last night to watch, and we ended up watching it just before we were having dinner earlier on. Keely Hawes, both love her for some of her stuff. She's
absolutely fantastic. Bolly.
Yeah, in Ashes to Ashes. Max Beasley, I couldn't remember where else I'd seen him in. Who was the policeman?
Yeah, I was looking at him. I was thinking, what have you been in?
And actually, I'll have a look while we're talking. And he reminded me of John Sim a little bit.
Yeah, he was on Homeland, wasn't he?
Oh, he was in Suits as well.
Yeah. And Empire as well.
Yeah.
And Strike Back. So he's been in a few. He's been in CSI, Crime Scene Investigation series. He was on a character on that. So he's been in sort of like bits all over the place, really, over the years.
Yeah.
But he's never been sort of like front and center in the way that he was on this.
Yeah,
it was actually fantastic.
What I did like about this, as much as the original film and the Carpenter film was on a shorter time scale.
Yeah,
of it happening. So I think the original film would probably be the kids do grow at an accelerated rate, but it could have been over a summer or a year, where we had, I think, 5 years. No, maybe even more. 5 or 6 years was the whole story.
Yeah.
And if people aren't a clue what we're talking about, if I just give you a brief outline. So Midwich, a little sleepy village in the middle of England. At one point, the bulk of the village all fall asleep. Don't know what's going on. The army come in, scene, and they did this. I like this scene they did where they had someone walk with a rope attached to them.
Yeah, that
which you did in the original one.
On the original one.
So that they walk. As soon as you walk in the area of the village, you'd fall asleep. They dragged him back out, and he woke up. But the unfortunate thing, what happened to all the women that fell asleep became pregnant.
Yeah.
And I don't think they had it in. I don't think they had. There's one scene from the original and one scene from Carpenter where one of the women was pregnant and a man was away for a year at sea, and he comes back to find her pregnant.
Well, they had that, but it was like an older bloke, wasn't it? On
they had a woman there that they had a woman that's not had any conjugal rights for the last 2 years. She said, "But I'm pregnant. I can't believe it."
Yeah.
But they obviously they all grow up, accelerated rate. They've got a go on.
It was Peter Jason who had that character on the Village of the Damned and the John Carpenter movie.
It was, yeah. Because that's the bit I watched this morning.
Yeah.
Because he'd just come back and he was having a glass of wine. He looked well miffed, to say the least. But the kids have an accelerated rate, and they have got one mind and soul, like the Borg, probably to a certain degree. The great bit from the original film, which I liked, was where they had one of those special boxes which, to open it up, you have to slide different parts of the box to get into the suite, and the kid would pick it out. And if you showed one child, the other child could do it, so on and so forth. Here, they were more with technology, with picking items on a screen, and they'd all pick the same thing. So we knew they're all together. In the two first films, they were all blonde-haired kids, where here we have a diversity of race and creed and colour. For today's day and age, and I thought it really worked well. Some bits were quite shocking. I didn't expect to happen, but overall there were some outstanding performances. The kids did really well. I'm assuming there was different kids playing different ages in this.
What, in the series? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not.
The girl though, the one that was the sort of like ringleader before the other one from outside came in.
Yeah.
The one with the big hair. Jesus, she was scary.
So there was one couple that just moved into Midwich. They bought their dream home.
Yeah.
And I think it was her, wasn't it? Was it her? She was the one there. Because I'm looking here that they did have a young version of one and a young version of the other. So they did actually have different actors and actresses, kids sort of playing the roles. But they all had that military effect of how they walk, how they stood, how they would look. Eventually I thought, when their eyes are going to start glowing, like it did in the original.
Yeah.
But it's really good. I was better than I expected. I was expecting this to be a bit pants, to be honest.
But it wasn't. It was really good.
Yeah. There won't be a second season, let's just put it that way.
Well, you say that, but if it was popular enough, there will be, or there is a potential for it.
Well,
it won't be the same kids.
No, but there was one person that, without saying anything.
Yeah.
But
well, technically there was two, if you think about it.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like they have that Borg collective hive mind sort of thing, and they know they can sense when each other are in danger, and they think that people are frightened of them, and yeah, it's a great idea for a story.
Yeah,
I'd like them to explore it more so that you know where they come from.
Yeah, I mean that's never been explained in any of the movies as much as with their.
It wasn't explained in the book either.
No, it's very much extraterrestrial beings of some kind.
Yeah.
From somehow, but it's I'm glad I got to finally get to watch it properly, because I've been meaning to sit and watch that for some time. It's been sitting on my box. I've got a couple of other shows to watch with the missus. Not something too similar, but
well, while we've been talking, I've just ordered the Village of the Damned and Children of the Damned on DVD.
Is the Children of the Damned available on Blu-ray or not?
No, DVD. That's what they were both on. Well, it was a double box set for $5.99.
Yeah.
So
I will say this though: if anyone wants to watch the original one, it is on YouTube. The whole movie.
Yeah.
You can find it on there.
Yeah.
And don't look at the colorized version. There's bits of it on there. It's dreadful. But just it's a great black and white film. You can watch that in a blink of an eye for how long it is. And yeah, it's one of those ones that there's a load of classic sci-fi movies I have that are just what I grew up with, and that's one of that list I have. But yeah, no, loved it.
Cool.
Really good. So should we start at the top with what you've got there?
Yeah. We'll go boldly where no one's gone before. Because as we've had Paramount Pictures, we've had Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Yay!
I've watched a couple of episodes, but I pulled back. The first one had some nice touches.
Yeah.
Especially with on the screen, his favourite movie is Day the Earth Stood Still, which is one of those cluster of movies that I have up here that I just adore from that 50s sci-fi.
Yeah, and, I must admit, I was looking at it, looking at his house, and I was thinking, this is Captain Pike, played by Anson Mount, who was Captain Pike in Star Trek Discovery Season 2. So it's a continuation of those characters. And I was watching it, and I was like looking, and I was thinking, I wonder if in 400 years, how this will actually look like this, or whether it'll be very, very different to the way that they've imagined it on here. Because I was sat watching it, I was thinking, this just looks like Captain Kirk's pad that was on Generations.
Yeah, and that's what I said. We spoke about it a little while ago, and it looked very similar at the table on the left hand side where he had got the kitchen.
Yeah,
where he had to Caffarian eggs and doing the toast for his breaking the ice. He was going to go back to Starfleet.
What was interesting was how Pike's communicator was going off, and the other captain, who was his girlfriend, whatever, turned around and said, "Your phone's ringing."
Yeah.
Which is the only time I've ever heard of a communicator being referred to as a phone.
You have a pocket pager.
Yeah. But I mean, I suppose that on the Kelvin timeline, they still have Nokia.
They do, yeah, because that's in the sports car.
Yeah.
When Kirk as a kid is stolen it, isn't he?
Yeah, but I suppose there you could also say, technically speaking, that was probably done to keep it in keeping with the vehicle, or roughly.
Yeah, probably.
But I have to say, after watching 4 episodes, for want of a better term, kind of like have a bit of a man crush on Anson Mount's Pike, because he is such a brilliant captain.
This show has been the best of all the Star Trek shows they've brought out over recent times for me.
I would say that this is approaching one of the best Star Trek shows.
Yeah.
Full stop. End of paragraph.
Yeah.
That's it.
We can talk about his hair. It's a bit wicked, isn't it?
Oh, it gets taller every week. It's like, if it got any taller when James Kirk appears in season 2, he'll be trying to climb it because it's there. It's like a bloody mountain. His hair is like the worst thing about it, because it's sort of almost comic with it. But as a captain, the way that Anson Mount's captain is, I find him a very much more warmer, humane sort of person who cares about his crew.
He's not a robot at all, is he? In fact, that he's not. He's more of an approachable person to his crew. He's got that love and caring that he has for his team.
Yeah, he's like an approachable version of Picard. Because Picard was a bit, I'm the captain, standoffish. Whereas, to me, I think he'd be like the type of person that Picard would want to be like. But he, it's like he'll cook for his crew and stuff like that.
Yeah, at a dinner party, didn't he?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I'm not too sure. But I wasn't sure what the fire was in these quarters, though. That just seemed a bit daft.
That's imitation fire, probably, in the future.
A hologram. But it was... the production values of this, you could be watching a movie. The production values are absolutely fantastic.
I know I don't like to compare it to The Cage, for example, or what happened in Discovery compared to what happened in the original timeline. If we're going to split them apart, and with the idea of Uhura as well.
Yeah.
You know, there are
inconsistencies with the established law.
They are breaking a barrier that I wouldn't want to be broken, to be honest. I mean, I know from watching The Cage, which I love that. I do love that two-part.
I do as well.
Which took a while to get out there, especially when we got it on the VHS cassettes when they first
came
out.
When you think about it, technically speaking, Star Trek Strange New Worlds is the longest-serving pilot to aired series ever. Because the original Star Trek was supposed to be about Pike.
Yeah, he didn't want to take it on board, did he? He didn't want to do it in the end. But I mean, it was okay, and I quite liked what it was.
And we get to meet the original captain of the Enterprise as well.
Yeah,
Admiral April.
So there's some nice touches to it, and don't get me wrong, but I don't think they should be doing too much crossover with what comes after that, which would be obviously Star Trek as the TOS.
I mean, I'd heard that they were considering doing like Khan stuff, and obviously one of the members of the crew is a descendant of Khan Noonien Sung.
Yeah.
Which,
that's obvious because of her name. I don't think.
Yeah, her name.
I'm not going to say it's been explored yet because obviously I've only watched a couple of episodes, but.
Whether it's explored later on in the series, who knows?
I don't know if they should do or not, you see.
I seriously don't think that they should. I think it would be a mistake because they would have to get Spock out of there totally for a start off, and Uhura. And then how do they explain the fact that, you know, if they do have Khan again, that he's already been on the Enterprise once before? Why would he need to read all those technical journals if he'd already been there and done it? So I hope that they don't go down that line, but they do explore some interesting sort of like avenues. You know, the first is it first or second episode? First episode, I think, is about spirituality, isn't it, and about faith with that comet.
Yeah.
And then the next episode after that is about bioengineering and, you know, the enhancements, because we find out that number one is Elysian, which I could not believe the conversation that was going on about people raging about this of all places, the Star Trek one of the Star Trek groups on Facebook saying this is stupid. We already know that, you know, about they're not a genetically enhanced race. This was established in generations. Yes, that was Elorians, not Elysians. They are different. I could not believe that people were having an argument about that on Star Trek. Really,
well, to be honest, I think a lot of those groups are a little bit touchy at the minute.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the cancellation of Star Trek London, with what's happened with that.
Oh, no, a lot of these were people from other countries arguing about it.
Oh, was it really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the Brit one, though, there's a lot of animosity at the moment with a lot of things with that.
Yeah, well, it's just typical of British fans who are not served properly.
No. Anyway, but yeah, it's well worth a watch.
Definitely. I mean,
even if you don't really watch Trek too much and don't really, I think it's more got the original roots in the show anyway. So
there is one character though that I really grates on me.
As long as I've seen him, you can mention it.
Or her. Can you guess which one?
Go on, tell me.
And it's not because of the actress. It's because of what they're doing with the actress, and that is Nurse Chapel.
She's very, very, very attractive, I must admit.
I'm not disputing. She's a beautiful woman. Not disputing that at all. But in terms of her as a character, that her character is very well sort of enshrined in Star Trek lore, because she was played by Gene Roddenberry's wife.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. We know who Christine Chapel is, and while Ethan Peck plays, I think, probably a more consistent Spock, it's like somebody heard that there was a character called Christine Chapel and then decided not to watch any episode to see what that character was like.
Because she gets very fond of him later on.
That's the only thing that seems to be going down that she's falling for Spock sort of thing. But Christine Chapel was a very much sort of like softer, more of a follower than a leader sort of role.
She's an approachable nurse.
She was
knows
an
the job.
approachable, homely nurse. That's the way that she was on the original show. And I don't mean that with any disrespect to the character, but that's sort of like the way that they built her up. Whereas,
see, this is the problem again. I don't think she should even be in it at the moment. I think again, these characters they're deciding to. I don't want to call it fan service because I'm fed up with the terminology of using it in movies and TV shows to keep people happy. It's not about doing that. I don't think they should do that.
I think it upsets fans when they get it wrong, to be honest. And for me, this is what they're getting wrong on the show is Christine Chappell, because this Christine Chappell is much more hard-hitting, confident. I kind of like feel she uses men, whereas I think that the other version of it would have been she would have been used by men. For want of, I know it's a horrible term, but you know what?
I know what you mean. But
you know what I mean. She wouldn't have been as respected. Whereas I think that the role
because she's been working with she's been on board with McCoy. Yeah, and
she's very subservient. She's very.
She shouldn't even be in the show yet. She shouldn't be in that show. She was not in the cage. She was not in it. If you know what I mean. As much as all right, she was in it, but
she was number one at that point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Exactly, that's what I mean. She wasn't, but she was playing a different character.
She was playing a different character, but I mean, to be fair, it's a ship with 400 people on it. It's quite possible on the bits of the show that we've seen that they weren't there. That's how I explain why Chekhov knew who Khan was, because he was on his day off.
That's always going to be an anomaly in that world. It always will be.
No, it was Chekhov's day off. That's how I rationed it out in my mind. Chekhov had a day off and it hit the fan and it was Khan. And he was one of the many people who was captured by Khan. And he was in his quarters on the Enterprise. That's how I rationed it out. Yeah?
Yeah.
And that's why Khan would have recognised him, because he might have dragged him to a room and then said, you all lot have to stay here and blah, 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 because he's super intelligent, he has super memory and he remembered the face. Yeah, that's my nerdy fan sort of way of rationing it out. But in terms of like Christine Chappell, she could have been there earlier on. But on the day that it was the cage, she just happened not to be in sickbay. Plus the fact it was a different doctor. But
that was no point, wasn't it?
But hang on a minute, though. This goes back to another argument that I butted in on one of the Star Trek Facebook pages, where people were saying this show's ridiculous because on the cage, Pike didn't know what his future was and he didn't have all of this gloominess and stuff like that.
No.
And I pointed out, if you'd have watched...
Which is spoiled because of what Discovery did.
Yeah, hang on a minute, though. If you'd have watched the episodes and paid attention to the causality, you would have realised that what happened in the cage happened before Discovery, which happened before Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So therefore, in the cage, he wasn't aware he was getting access to the time crystals in Star Trek Discovery Season 2, where he found out and cemented his fate by accepting that time crystal. So that's why he wasn't like that in the cage.
Yeah.
And you've got to remember that. So this is after the cage. So Christine Chappell wasn't there. This is 2, 3, 4 years later on from the cage. That's why she wasn't there.
Anyway, we better move swiftly on because we want to be done in under about half an hour or so. Okay. We'll be... Do you want to go on to your next one?
Yeah, so the next one is The Boys Are Back. Talking about, a Star Trek alumni, Carl Urban leads the show on this sort of like comic anti-superhero show that's on Prime. This is the third season of this. If you haven't seen it before, basically the world has superheroes who've been genetically modified humans by a company called Vought from when they were children. And a guy who's played by Carl Urban has a real problem with Homelander because basically his wife had sex with him and they had a child together and his wife left her husband. So since then, he's had it in for Homelander, but Homelander didn't even know, thought his wife had died, and so did he. And that when he discovered it, that's why he got this sort of like chip on his shoulder. But that's a very crude sort of interpretation of this. The lead superhero, who's Homelander, is a complete idiot. Basically, he's quite perverted about milk. There's a very bit where he's milking a cow in the latest episode. But he's got the powers of Superman. He's like a god, as it were.
He is, yeah.
But he's a complete asshole, for want of a better term. And he's kept in check by this company called Vought, who sort of like employ him and other ones. One of the other lead characters, Huey, his girlfriend got killed by another superhero called A-Train, who was on drugs, who literally ran through and liquidized her while Huey was holding her hands. So there's all sorts of like really, you have to watch the show to get the whole history. But basically, the boys are trying to bring down all of this league of superheroes that's all over the world that have been these chemically enhanced people by this company. So the story is returning to that. So Butcher, who's played by Carl Urban, goes searching for one of the original superheroes called Soldier Boy when he learns he might not have died in the 80s. And Soldier Boy is the only person who can take down Homelander, even though at this point Butcher gets an injection that he can take occasionally that will give him superpowers as well. Don't worry, you find out all this in episode 1, so it's not any big reveal. So darker times are at Vought because now Homelander's taken over the company as well. It's a very dark, quite funny show that is just so, shows the other side of what a superhero is, or potentially is. I would highly recommend it, but don't watch it if you're easily offended. And it is a mature thing. Don't let your kids watch it. Let's put it this way: one of the parties that they go to in this show is called Hero-gasm. I'll let you imagine what happens there. And there's lots of nudity and stuff like that. So, but it is an interesting take on the superhero genre.
Well, it's definitely, I suppose, an adult superhero show anyway, if you would call it that.
Have you ever seen it, Steve?
Yeah, I have. I've watched a few episodes, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not for children, to put it that way.
Definitely not. Yeah, it's an 18 plus, definitely. The next show I've wanted to just raise your awareness of is the Orville. So this is a non-Trek Star Trek show which did Star Trek better than Star Trek. So it's Seth MacFarlane. This show's really grown up over the last 3 seasons. It's really insightful and mature about the approach to storytelling now, and it puts it on a parallel course basically with Star Trek Strange New Worlds. It's like that good. Less comedy in it now. The first season was very, felt like that to make a joke every couple of minutes, whereas the second show was sort of like that teenage phase where you sort of like, you do childish things, but then you do some grown-up stuff as well, and it matured over that period. And then this season is much more serious. It tackles some really great stories like suicide and stuff like that. Really high production values, much better than previous times. The scripts are great, and it's just a fantastic show to watch. And that's on Disney Plus if you want to watch that. And then my last show, because I know you haven't seen that, have you, Steve?
No, I haven't.
No. And then my last show is on Apple TV, which is season 3 of For All Mankind. So if you haven't seen For All Mankind before, this is an alternate reality Earth where the Russians beat the Americans to the moon.
I've heard about it, I think.
It is absolutely fantastic show, Steve. You should really watch this. So the new season sees the series take a 10-year jump into the future from season 2 as they continue, going into space in the 90s. Mars becomes the new frontier for the US and Soviet Union space race, but their efforts to reach the Red Planet are more complicated when a private company joins the race. And so far, there are 4 episodes in this show. Great production values, great script. It's got, I've forgotten what his name is, but it's, no, I can't remember. He was on Altered Carbon. What was his name?
Oh, I remember the show, but
yeah, brain's gone. Joel Kinnaman, that was it, who plays Ed Baldwin. So it's like even like the actors, the characters are the real. You have Neil Armstrong and stuff like that in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like based in reality, and the technology is commensurate with sort of like the time and stuff like that as well. But it's just such a great show. It's a really good show from Apple TV. It's one of the reasons to watch Apple TV, to be honest, because they do have some really quite good quality shows on there.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, definitely, if you've got Apple TV, get that on your watch list. You will not regret it if you like sci-fi. Or have an interest in the space race.
Yeah, it is quite a... it was quite interesting how all that comes together through the 60s, isn't it, with the Apollo missions and everything.
Yeah, I take it this is another one you've never watched.
What? No, I've only heard about it. So I've got Apple TV anyway, so I won't be able to see it.
Yeah. It's a shame that, because, like I said, it's well worth it. Maybe if you got it for, a demo and watched it on your PC or on another tablet or something like that, just so that you can get to see that, it'd be worth it.
I don't know if you can find it on Amazon Prime or something. I don't know, maybe at some point.
It's not on Prime, it's only on Apple TV.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's an Apple original, like Ted Lasso. That's another great one to watch on there.
I heard about that, yeah.
Very good comedy. Anyway, anything else to add in terms of movies, TV and streaming, Steve?
Just a couple of quick films without giving too much away. I did watch Don't Breathe 2 last night.
Yeah.
If you've seen the original, basically this is set years later following the initial deadly home invasion where Norman Nordstrom, the blind man he was with, was attacked in his home. Have you ever seen Don't Breathe?
No.
Really good film. The sequel is not bad, actually. It's better than it comes across as. Well worth a watch. You do get a bit more of a backstory to the blind man, we'll call him.
Because the blind man's the sergeant or whatever it was off Avatar, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just looking at his picture for real, because he's very beaten up and scarred in... Yeah, Stephen Lang, his name is. Yeah. But that's on Sky. That's on Sky at the moment, Don't Breathe 2. And the next one I watched a week ago was Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City.
Any good?
It's all right. It's not the best Resident Evil movie in the world, but it's it takes a little while to get going. But there's just little scenes that you remember from when Resident Evil first came out on the PlayStation. If I'm not mistaken, didn't it come out in 1988, Resident Evil? The game?
No. It was about 10 years later. It was about 98 because it was on PlayStation 1.
That's what I said, 1998. That's what I said.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said 88. No.
No. Because the film is set in 1998, which plays on it a little bit. That'd probably
be about. Sorry,
right.
I thought you said 88. Sorry, Steve.
No. So it does mix and blend a bit of Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2 in places, but you get to see the outbreak start and you get to meet all the characters. So you've got Chris Redfield, Albert Wesker, Leon Kennedy, Jill Valentine, Claire Redfield, William Birkin as well, and even his character in the game when he has all those eyes, when he's that like creature. Do you remember? You get to see him transform into that, and it's pretty good actually. But the guy Neil Neil Dowry, he's played a lot of stuff like that in the past. He's done quite a few bits and pieces. If you saw his face, you'd recognise him. And when you see the police station, when they walk in there for the first time, you just see it's the police station. With all the help we've had recently, where we had I think, if memory serves, the last couple of Resident Evil games we had 4K upgrades.
Yeah.
Which I haven't put them back on yet. But it's all got all those twists and turns. If you play Resident Evil, I can just say it finishes at the end of the game exactly as it does in the film as well. And there was some little things there little nods I saw, for example, where they were trying to get through this door and they needed some keys, and this woman got hold of these keys. It was like a little bunch. One was a heart key. One had a different. The ones you had to find. Yeah. Throughout the game.
Yeah, it's like a ace of spades and stuff like that. Yeah.
She had a bunch of those keys, and that was the key she used. So there was just little tweaks to that.
A lot of consistency with the game.
Yeah, it was, and don't take it too hard. But it's on Sky at the moment. I'd get and watch it. I mean, you get to see the truck driver at the beginning of. Well, see, even though it was in Resident Evil, was it in Resident Evil 1? I think I'm trying to remember now. There's a truck driver driving down with a roll and a burger.
That was two.
So yeah, this is where it gets a little bit slightly off key, but you have him meeting up the car, and he crashes into the police station, and you get the rabid dogs and everything else in it. And there's one scene, if you watch the trailer.
Yeah, because wasn't it he crashed into a petrol station on Resident Evil 2?
He did, yeah. But in this, he crashes into the police station.
Yeah.
Which gives you where the fire starts. There's a helicopter scene as well. But if you watch the trailer, there's a little scene there which you remember the animations, I think, from Resident Evil 1, where the zombie's on the floor eating, and he turns his head to one side, and you get the glimpse of him. That is even in the film. So there's little bits like that, which, again, all right, we're going to call it fan service for this point of view. But don't take it too harshly. It is what it is. It's not the greatest film in the world, but it was just a bit of fun if you're a Resident Evil fan.
Yeah.
And I've been watching a few of those just recently. They've been on Sky as well. The last 7 films or so. And obviously what we have got coming in about the 15th of July is the new Resident Evil series on Netflix, which looks pretty good. And you got, I can't think of the actor's name. His voice is used in Destiny as Zavala.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he was also in Quantum Break as well, wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah, so he
was also on Lost.
Was he in Lost?
Yeah.
Do you know, I can't remember.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Lance, his name is, I think, remember rightly. I do have him on Facebook.
Yeah, I can't remember what his name is.
But it's all right. Say it's not going to be the greatest film in the world, but if you're a bit of a fan, just check it out. It's slow to start, but it does build up as it goes through.
Lance Reddick.
That's him. He's class. But yeah, Resident Evil, this TV series starts, I think, about the 15th of this month.
He's also on John Wick movies.
I haven't watched him for a while.
He's a concierge for the hotel in John Wick.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just about it really. Just a couple of good films to watch.
Yeah.
Put your brain in a bucket, and if you get in the mood, then you can go and watch all of the Resident Evil movies that came out with Mila Jovovich as well, which I still love those films.
I've got all of those on DVD, on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I think the only one I don't own is the last one. I think it's the final chapter.
I think that might be the one I've got in 4K. I think.
Yeah, so Netflix, 14th of July, it says on here I'm looking at.
Cool.
So, great. Shall we...
Yeah, go on to listener questions.
John, what's happening to us?
Okay, so listener questions, and because we never did a show one week where I'd asked for the questions, I've pulled out some of those that people had asked there. But also we've got Mark, as usual, has been his normal self and sent us in his normal 2 questions. So his first one is, has your opinion of gaming and how it's changed over time? Are you gaming in the same way that you did 20 years ago?
Definitely not.
No,
I think we've come a long way with how games are fed to us, and I think they were I say damn sight cheaper 20 years ago as well.
In some respects, I mean,
Yeah.
in some other respects, it's become cheaper as well, because 20 years ago, you never got free games. Whereas now, if you're on PC, for example, Epic, you get 1, 2, 3 games every month.
Yeah.
And then you've got things like Game Pass and Amazon Prime Gaming and stuff like that. So you get access to quite a lot of free stuff, or at least stuff you don't have to pay for, but you can still play if you choose to. 20 years ago, you had to buy your entertainment.
Yeah, you'd never heard of digital content then, had you?
No, that was just round the corner then, wasn't it? Really, with the 360.
Yeah. So actually, I'll pull back my statement earlier. It was 19. Well, I think Resident Evil came out in 1996 in Japan, but I think we got it a bit later. So it might well have been 1998. But anyhow, so all those games you played 20 years ago was, I think you had more games on your shelves those days.
Yes, lots of physical copies of stuff, which I've still got. But obviously nowadays, most of your content's digital. I mean, I used to have boxes and boxes and boxes of PC games. In those great big cardboard boxes where you'd have like a floppy disk and a manual that was nicely printed.
I think I had that for some of the Microprose games I had, which were probably on might have been my Amiga or something like that.
Yeah,
and they were probably bigger than that. Do you know what I mean? As a bulk, I think it was probably double that size. But you had 2 floppy disks and a book in there, which was thick as ever.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
go on.
It's just, I'm trying to, it's very hard to remember 20 years ago. That was hard. I'm not saying I can't remember, but I'm thinking that's 2000, the beginning of the 2000s, isn't it?
2002.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that I was more of a, I don't know, I wasn't as serious about gaming 20 years ago as I am now. Which seems like a strange thing to say, seeing as I'm 20 years older. But I think, gaming was just something I kind of did because, for whatever reason, I just played games. Whereas now it's much more of a hobby as opposed to something to keep me occupied. And I'm much more selective in terms of what I choose to play. And I will play more titles, but I'll play less of that title now than I did 20 years ago, where I'd buy your game and complete it and then move on.
Well, the thing is, about 20 years ago was the Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
And you would have had Tekken 3. Well, Tekken 3 was 1997. Grand Theft Auto, that was 1997. So you're thinking around that sort of time. And I think GoldenEye would have been around there as well, roughly.
Yeah. But I think also a lot of the gaming back then used to be sort of like couch co-op with my mates. Whereas my friends have stopped playing video games 20 years ago. Or when they got married, sometime around there. I'm one of the only ones who continue to game. So I would say my habits have changed over the time. My habits have definitely changed since going into podcasting and talking about video games. And also try and do interesting stuff for YouTube to put on, sort of like an addition to the show. Things like try to get some, what I've been doing for the last couple of months, some catchy songs or, songs that have some sort of significance and play on Beat Saber or whatever, do a live stream of so people can watch along. I mean, I don't know why, but people generally don't talk very much in terms of my streams. But if you ever want to, just say hello, just talk. Sometimes I don't see the text come up. It's just one of them things. I'm getting old. But, I'll respond as soon as I see it. So, please do join in a conversation. But if I think that there's nobody there, because even when you've got 3 screens and you can see what's sort of going on, you get embroiled in the game. But if I don't think that there's anybody there, or people want to concentrate on the game, I'll keep quiet. The only reason why I'm putting my face on the stream at the moment is because I'm doing the challenge, so people can see it's actually me doing the challenge. If people want more of that and see my ugly fat old mug, then I'll do more of that, but I'm not too bothered. Do you know what I mean? So I think for me, gaming's changed an awful lot over the years, personally.
Absolutely.
Do you want to do his next question?
Yeah. Just let me close this down here. Okay, so considering the whole gaming life career, what's been the one game that has been your biggest impact on you both in gaming and general life? I think actually probably at one point, thinking about the impact it had on a lot of us when we were snowed in one year and Fallout 3 came out, and we were all playing it at the same time and chatting as well. A few friends from work and stuff and that. And Bethesda games, as much as I'd played what was before then, I think that just I was hooked from a gaming point perspective for that sort of game. I think that just really gelled with me. I think. I mean, for yourself, it could probably go back as further as some certain flight sim in space. Maybe for yourself, maybe that might be.
I don't know. I think that there's been a couple of games that have been sort of like landmark games. Landmark games that have.
Even Final Fantasy VII is as well. I mean, when I first got that disc in from that 3-disc, I think it was 3 discs, wasn't it?
Well, it was the introduction. It was the introduction of the JRPGs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To the West. Because before that, it'd been much more niche, whereas when it went mainstream. But I would say that probably the game that has had the biggest impact on my life personally would have had to have been the Destiny series. And the reason why is because that was how we became friends.
I get that. It is my longest playing game consistently. I mean, from the point of Fallout 3, that's where my love fell for that sort of game. Not the Japanese side, but from Bethesda. But I should be playing Destiny to the day I peg it.
Yeah.
In whatever form that will turn out to be.
But before Destiny came out, we didn't know each other.
No.
You just started on that other podcast. I was doing a Facebook group for that other podcast. And I introduced myself to you. We started.
God, I'm telling you how long ago. How long ago was that when I did that? Blimey!
It was you, me, and Chris being the trinity of Destiny players.
Chris, but I've tried. Chris don't want to get involved anymore. He doesn't. He's too busy, man, with his
children. I miss Chris, but I respect the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're listening, Chris, miss you, mate. But it was good gaming with you. Hope we do it again.
But if anything, when you say the consistency of playing a certain game for so long, where even though you still dive into other stuff, I mean, my boy still scratches his head about me and said, "You're still playing Destiny." And he doesn't phase him out one little bit. But he did say to me that whenever I pass away, whenever that time will come and someone's knocking on my door, he said to me, "Can I have your Destiny account? No, I'll keep it going." I said, "Fine, buy me." Which is quite sweet of him in one way. And I think I'm not going to go yet, but you don't know what's around the corner. I know, don't put any doom and gloom in this show.
Yeah, but, no, I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm sure that we've still got decades of Destiny gaming left.
I hope so.
We'll be doing it with our arthritic hands in our 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
By then it'll all be virtual headsets, and will be thought technology to move us around. So it's only our Alzheimer's that'll be causing a problem at that point. But in all seriousness, though, that game gave us our friendship. So, and we ended up here from that game, basically.
Yeah, you may not be in it as much as I am though these days, but you're still around occasionally.
Yeah, but I still play it occasionally. But it's as with everything, we've only got so much time. Back then, you were probably where I am now. In terms of family and age and stuff like that.
I know.
But it's like I've got the added complication of my mother-in-law being ill and trying to keep my wife sane with all of that.
Yeah.
It's just all.
I mean,
all
20. I mean, funny thing. I think 20. We go back 20 years ago even. Thinking about, because I was playing with my boy, was on the dungeon, having a little play around, just getting used to the mechanics of it, even though he's played it once with some other people. And this will probably lead on to another question in a moment. But my boys, I did have, if we go back, I think my Facebook page today was about 12 years ago.
Mm.
There was 3 Xbox 360s in my house.
Mm.
One downstairs, one in the boys' room, one in the girls' room. And those days, internet was more manageable then. If it was 20 years ago, I might be slightly wrong now. I can't remember when the 360 came out, but I might be wrong. But with not having internet plugged in those days, you were more able to manage what they're playing and how they're playing it, because they had to have the disc in their pocket, didn't they?
Mm.
But yeah, it's only out of all my family now. I mean, the 2 boys. One of my boys plays Halo. The other boy plays Destiny a lot with me, and the girls they occasionally jump on it every now and then, once in a blue moon. Not very often. I did give them a bit of Game Pass to play with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it hasn't done them any harm.
No, I mean, for me, you and I have had it's interesting. You and I have had very different experiences in terms of our gaming lives, because, as I said, or as you said, people at your work were playing video games.
Mm.
Now, people at my work might very well have been, but nobody talked to me about it.
Mm.
And I have.
There's probably about 3. There was about 3 or 4 of us, and Chris was one of them as well, because he was one of my colleagues.
Yeah.
So all playing Fallout 3.
Yeah.
On our own.
That's it. God.
But on the phone occasionally going,
yeah,
good this game,
Yeah, I mean, the only time I ever sort of like had a place where there was people who played video games, same as me, was when I worked for what is now the DBS. For back then it was the ISA in Darlington. And there was 2 or 3 of us who played. One person was in my team, who was our admin officer, and we used to talk about stuff. And the other one was one of the project coordinators, who I didn't actually really know. He was one of the people who worked on a different floor to me. Then we ended up having to go to the Criminal Records Bureau over at Liverpool, and we were sat on the thing and having a conversation. And he said, "Oh, well, I do gaming." I said, "Really? So do I." And I also remember there was another lad who was in our air gap, Lee, bless him. Still friends on Xbox Live with him. And I remember he turned around to me. He said, "Oh yes, I'm on Xbox, and here's my gamer card, and marvel at my gamer score." I did. It was 3,000 less than me, which back then was a lot. You know what I mean? So now 3,000's a slow weekend for me on gamer score if I choose to be 100. But it was just, back then it was a whole world of difference. But I always remember, that was the only time I ever felt like I had people who were like me. I was like where I am now. Have you ever heard of Microsoft Yammer?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I get emails from that.
Yeah, it's like a social media group, for your business, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we have like a video gaming sort of like community on there, but nobody ever talks. It's weird.
Yeah, I know that.
But which is a bit of a shame, really. But it's just as I've sort of like a lot of my gaming's very solo, and always has been, apart from when we play.
But it is a lot. Can be a lot of it, and we all go into our own little
bubbles.
Hole. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Anyway, should we do? Sorry, go on.
Yes, could we better
do
roll in.
So, Scott Kidd, has asked, what age do you think is best age to introduce gaming to your kids?
Well, mine were different age range, all 5 of them. But, the oldest were about 11 at the time, maybe, where the youngest, bless her, because she was so young, she would see the games being played. But because gaming has got games for all ages now and what they play, I don't think the age is different as it was now to it was then.
Yeah.
Because now there's more of a variety for young kids to play, learnable or something older. Obviously, we were having, Grand Theft Autos and Call of Duties all the time. But then there was musical games with the old guitars and stuff like that, which you could play, and Crash Bandicoot, But I think now I think that has changed, where mine were a different broad gap between the different ages they were.
Yeah.
It's an individual thing. I think your kids should be playing games on what they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my son, I would say the first time he played a video game, as in with a controller, he would have been 3. He played interactive digital content before that on a computer or whatever, which you could classify as games, but they're not like video games. But the one that he played was, do you remember Tower Blocks? It was on the 360.
Not off the top of my head.
So you had a crane and you had to keep dropping towers, one on top of the other, and the higher up you got, the more that they swayed if you didn't get them spot on.
Yeah.
So that was the one that I started him off with, and it was more to do with, sort of like developing his cognitive ability, really, and his... Because it had hand-to-eye coordination, stuff like that, and it was try and see about his reasoning with stuff to get taller and taller towers if he could work it out, and he did. But interestingly enough, there are studies that are out there of the development of the a young person's brain, in relation to the thickness of the brain tissue, and in the areas where in children where they've played video games, they've got a heavier concentration in key areas of the brain, like the reasoning, hand-to-eye coordination, stuff like that, by playing video games, and children who have been deprived of that. Now, I remember having this nurse once turn around to me and saying that as a negative thing, and I said, no, if you've got more brain tissue there, that means that you've got a higher intellect there. It's more brain tissue means more processing power in those areas of the brain. It's the most unusual thing for a medical practitioner to ever have said, I thought. But yeah, it was really, it's an interesting field, but evidently that's what studies, God knows when they were done. But I remember reading about them. So I would say whatever's right for your kid, but make sure it's age appropriate. I wouldn't expect a 5-year-old to be playing GTA 5, for example.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do I do Paul's?
So Paul Wilson says, if there's no video gaming, which other hobby available today would be able to fill the gap in the same amount of hours, but equal as accessible and potentially as enjoyable? What's the main other hobby you watch is movies, isn't it, and TV?
Movies and TV, yeah.
Yeah, there is music as well.
Yeah, another one of my hobbies.
But
walking.
Yeah, gardening.
Like definitely not gardening. I hate gardening with a passion. That's why I have a gardener.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it'd be to get back to watching movies and TV shows more.
Yeah, hell, I'd even have to talk to the missus.
Oh God, yeah.
I love my missus. She's a great lass.
Yeah,
I would say probably exactly the same. I think I would probably maybe get into a bit more DIY as well. I'd probably go into woodwork.
Been there and done that, to be honest. Back in the day, I've refitted my kitchens and
I wasn't thinking for refitting kitchens and that.
But I'm just saying,
I would go into woodwork. So
I'd go back. I might even go to get to watch more football as well. Go out and I used to watch a lot of football. Go to Tottenham and see the games.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in that case, then Jason Toon has asked, should a video game narrative and story be standalone and separate from other media, or do you feel The addition of books, shows, and movies helps flesh out the world of the game. The story of the Halo games, for example, don't really make sense unless you've read the accompanying books, which I feel hurts the narrative, as I've only played the games.
I don't know about that really, because I think from the Halo point of view, the Halo games came out first anyway.
Yeah.
But if you're expanding any universe with books, whether it's a game franchise or a TV or movie franchise, whether it could be Star Wars, Star Trek, or anything really, that's only a side issue.
I think the thing is with books, particularly more so than with video games, is books are probably more likely to become decanonized or are not canon in the first place than a video game in a lot of cases. Yeah. So, for example, Star Wars Fallen Jedi is supposed to be in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, a lot of people don't read books, but I think you can still get what you need to get out of them. Like Batman, for example, you don't need to read the darker comics that came out.
No.
I think you're able to flesh out what the story is. And I think a lot of games will give you some background anyway, if it's slightly off canon, maybe. So, yeah, I don't know. I've never really come across that problem.
I think that the issue is that video games and movies are not comfortable bedfellows 99% of the time, because there's very few good movie to games, game to movie conversions. I think the issue is about if there is part of the wider continuing universe about ensuring that they're consistent, and I think that is important. But it's, like, for example, Star Trek universe is vast. You can have something happen in the Star Trek universe that on a video game that does not impact any of the shows. That's sort of like where I was going with that. Do you know what I mean? It needs to be consistent with the shows, but it doesn't need to impact on their narrative, their story. Yeah,
no, I agree. But they want to milk it, so you will get them. They will try and put those books and blend them in with it anyway. But again, I think you can take or leave it, to be honest, personally.
Yeah.
Unless you're a big fan of something, then you might want to read the books, whether it's Star Wars or some of the Star Trek novels I've read over the years. But yeah, I wouldn't take it to heart, Jason, too much, to be honest. I think you can get out of it what you want.
Yeah, and I think things like the Halo series, it's sort of like incumbent on them to create that narrative around it.
But you should think now that over the last few years, we've had the Halo TV show now. We've had the other TV show that came out that was a part of
Reach, wasn't it?
It came out with Xbox, didn't it?
Yeah.
If you remember rightly. But that's only very much later, where if you go back to playing Halo 1, 2, and 3, there was none of that anyway.
No.
And Red versus Blue was suddenly, some sort of new thing on something called YouTube. But yeah. No, should we get to the last one? So
yeah.
Got it. One more. Oh, am I doing it? Oh, okay, sorry. Very old. It's a good old question that we've had, I think, a few times, but play your spin on it. What's your favourite console ever and game for it?
I'm not really sure I have a favourite console ever.
It's probably when you played the most that you got most time out of it. So playing games 15, 20 years ago, you would have got a lot of time out of maybe the 360, which everyone comes across as saying.
Yeah, it is. But also, I could go back further than that and say, like, the PlayStation 1, or go further back again. And then at that time period, it would have been the Amiga.
Yeah,
because it's about the main stepping stones along that several generations of gaming.
So when you pick, I'm going to go from the PlayStation onwards to a certain degree, because I don't want to go further back from playing with my Atari ST, for example, or whatever, or some of the earlier console cartridge games with Sega.
Like Mega Drive or something like that.
Yeah, and I had the Master System and stuff like that, where I'd be playing one of the fighting games or a game based on Aliens or Indiana Jones that you would have had out. But when you think of like the PlayStation, I think of Murray Walker in the Formula One games.
See,
And
it's interesting. Even though I had the, that with the go, go, go and all of that at the beginning of the game, I think of Ridge Racer and Wipeout for the PlayStation.
Yeah, I mean, from a racing perspective, I think one of the first games I picked up with the PlayStation was one of the Formula One games, and I was a big fan of Formula One. Didn't get to see it today actually because it was the Silverstone Grand Prix. Don't think a Brit won it this year, but anyway. And then I come across Final Fantasy VII. Then I came across Gran Turismo.
And interestingly enough,
Metal Gear Solid.
Final Fantasy VII is the reason why I feel that it feels wrong to play Final Fantasy on anything but PlayStation.
Yeah, I know, I get that. And then you had Resident Evil again, of course. There's all these big franchises that were coming out on the PlayStation 1.
Tomb Raider.
Yeah, as well, another one. And platform as well. Oh, there's a few different types of those that came out.
What, Crash Bandicoot, for example?
Yeah, and
yeah.
What's the weird alien one that you used to play? He was a weird character, wasn't he? I've done one recently back on it. Looked a bit gross.
Oddworld.
Thank you.
Odyssey. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never did like those games.
and then when I think one of my first interactive games on the PlayStation was an X-Files game, which was more of a point and click, and you had real footage of Dana and Mulder playing this game, finding out the clues to the story you were playing. And I think probably one of my first interactive games back then, with a dodgy bit of FMV mixed in and stuff like that.
And the FMV would have looked like low quality video stream on an Apple Watch.
Yeah, but I loved it. I really did.
Yeah.
And then you moved on to the PlayStation 2, and you had some good games that would carry on with the same series. But I felt that PlayStation 2 got a bit childish at one point. The
PlayStation 2, the main game that sticks in my head is Metal Gear Solid Sons of Liberty.
Yeah. And also, I think what I did get with it when it came out, SSX Tricky.
Yes, SSX Tricky was brilliant.
The first one.
Well, SSX, you mean?
SSX, yeah.
Yeah, that used to be absolutely brilliant. GameCube SSX Tricky was good as well.
Yeah.
PlayStation 3. And
I didn't own that. I moved.
Right. No, I had that. There you're looking at like God of War.
Yeah. And then I remember I played the last game I played in the PlayStation 2 was The Getaway.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Xbox because I thought I want something different to play. And Halo and the other racing games that came out. And then that moved forward to the 360 from there as well with some great titles. And Fable.
See, 360 for me was all about Assassin's Creed 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, absolutely as well. Yeah, I played
Halo.
Yeah. And I stayed there. That's where I stayed until I put a pro. And so it's very difficult to say for each generation, if you're going to call it a generational period of different consoles, there was always going to be a favorite game.
Yeah.
And now it's probably, as much as I had the 360, we had BioShock and stuff like that, which I used to adore playing, and more Fable games came out. Two of the great franchises. I'd love to say, can't wait for the next Fable. Hopefully, we'll get to see that at some point.
So I would say one of the best ones in terms of 360 would have been the original Mass Effect 1 and 2.
Yeah, that was something that was really vast as well. So again, all these different games that were coming out. I mean, Fallout 4, for example, now I think it's going to be coming up next year. But if you Google search or even YouTube search the mod that will be coming out, Fallout London, and I've only just caught it over the last month or two. There's a hell of a work going into this. It's going to be this game within the game of Fallout. I think it's going to come out next year. And if you look at some of the trailers for it and the footage they've got for Fallout London, and one of the game developers from that's has been plucked to Bethesda. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Any more?
No, I don't think so.
Because I need a drink.
Yeah, and I've got my missus pigging me saying, come on, hurry up.
Yeah, I knew that's what you were getting. My missus is watching something on telly, but I need to go and see you go to bed.
My missus wants me to go and get my dog and sort out his cage so that he can be put
your
in.
Dog. His mess, you deal with it. And I've got the bins to do. I've got to do the bins next before the bin man comes tomorrow morning.
All right. Well,
my next job.
We'll quickly do the sign off then. Steve, do you want to do yours?
So, Xbox, obviously, Steve07, Twitter @Steve07, and PlayStation, the real Steve07. And my YouTube channel is the Vinyl Cues.
So for me, it's HERG on everything apart from Epic, where it's Pop Culture Gamers. Don't forget, you can also follow us on youtube.com/popculturegamers. You can follow us on Twitter @popculturegamer. There's our Facebook group and our Facebook page. You can email podcast@popculturegamers.co.uk. You can look at our website, anchor.fm/popculturegamers. And don't forget, this month, all of July, I am doing the Children's Society Gaming Challenge, 24 hours in July. I'll be doing a lot more than 24 hours, I can guarantee it, where I'm streaming the video gaming that I'm doing. It's a sponsored fundraising event. If you listen to the show, it'd be really nice if you could show you some of your appreciation for that to help out a charity, which is focusing on children and young people who've self-harmed, have been neglected or been abused or been exploited. So it's a great charity. It'd be really good to have your support. Other than that, it's another good night from me.
And a good night from him.
Good night.
Good night.